carrying a sled on fresh snow and saying, "The world looks brand new," and Calvin ending the script with, "Let's go exploring."
Chapter 50. Jenna. After Derek Brood's lunch meeting, Jenna stakes out the congressional office until dusk. She's moved around, strolling the waterfront, sitting on a bench pretending to read a Jack Reacher paperback, wandering around with a Starbucks cup, trying to go unnoticed. She spied a CCTV set up for the congressional office, but the rest of the waterfront area doesn't seem to have any security cameras. She's careful to avoid ATMs. The tiny cameras on the machines are always recording anything that passes. By dark, she thinks Derek Brood must be the hardest working man in show business, which is basically what Congress has become. At last, he emerges from the building. No entourage this time. He doesn't carry a briefcase, but he seems to be walking somewhere purposefully. She trails after him at a safe distance. He's heading back toward the same steakhouse where he ate lunch. She suspects this is the only area of this town that has a halfway decent restaurant. But twice in one day? Maybe this problem will take care of itself. He'll die from heart disease. He's talking on his cell phone as he walks. Brood has an aggressive gait that hasn't changed much since he was a kid. Jenna wonders what else hasn't changed about the brute who terrorized the denizens of Savior House. Brood waves away a homeless man who approaches him, and sure enough, he's back at the same place where he took lunch. Artemis's dossier on Brood said he's married, but no kids. Maybe he's meeting his wife for dinner. Or maybe it's where he holds work meetings, lets lobbyists slide him bundles of cash under the table. Brood disappears inside the restaurant. Jenna needs to decide what to do. She'd had all day to ponder it, but can't land on how to approach this one. Wait in the back of his car, break into his house. She needs some time with him alone. The bag of goodies from Michael contains everything she needs. Ski mask, hood, zip ties, duct tape, waterboarding cloth, bottle of water, pliers. Then something grabs her attention. A young woman approaching the restaurant. The young woman. Jenna's grip on the gun in her front jacket pocket tightens. She thinks maybe she should don the mask, walk into the steakhouse and shoot them both. Often simple is better, one of Sabine's guiding principles. She watches as the woman enters the restaurant. Without thinking, she starts fast walking toward the entrance. She's going to do it. For her family. She keeps her head down, crosses the plaza. Her old self, along with the resignation that this is what needs to be done, has returned. She pulls out the mask as she walks. But she slows, then halts at the sight of the man in the suit who's obviously trailing the hit woman. He has the buttoned-up look of a G-man. She remembers Artie's words. We need to be concerned about the FBI. With that, she aborts. She shoves the mask back in the bag, turns and walks casually away. It's Derek Brood's lucky day. But not for long.
Chapter 51. Donnie. "I'll tell you what, Hemingway, I'll make a deal with you." They're back in the rental car, driving nowhere in particular. It's dark outside now, and Reeves still seems shell-shocked by the state of the neighborhood. Donnie imagines Reeves as a kid, playing tennis at a country club, going on fancy vacations, attending an Ivy League college, then hanging with the elites at book parties on the Upper West Side. "Sure, Donnie. What is it?" "I'll take you somewhere important from my childhood tonight, but then I head out in the morning. I know I promised a full week, and I'll give you the full time, but it's been a rough week, so I'd like to take a little break. Think the publishing people will be cool with that?" "I think that will be just fine." Reeves looks at him with something that resembles pity. Maybe the town's getting to Reeves. Lord knows it got to the rest of them. "Groovy. I'll take you to the spot where Benny saved my life." Reeves tilts his head to the side, like he's not sure if Donnie's kidding. A half-hour later, they've parked the car and are crawling through the gap in the temporary chain-link fence that surrounds the grounds. "I'm not so sure about this. This is trespassing and It'll be fine," Donnie says. "Cops around here have better things to do than guard a shuttered public swimming pool." Reeves seems reluctant, but he follows Donnie to the lip of a swimming pool that is empty except for a puddle of brown sludge at the bottom. Graffiti covers the building that used to sell ice cream and popsicles that Donnie and the other Savior House kids couldn't afford. "We used to come here every Saturday in the summer." Donnie's mind returns to the blazing sun, the waft of chlorine, the cut-off jeans he bought at Goodwill that he used as trunks. "I almost drowned in the deep end." He leaves out the part about Derek Brood holding him under. Reeves pulls out a pen and his small notepad and flips it open. "I love the idea of starting the book with this. There's symbolism in starting and ending the book with you nearly drowning but surviving." He stops, looks at Donnie. "Are you okay?" Donnie doesn't realize that his cheeks are wet. He wipes his face with his hand. "I'm fine, Hemingway," he says in rock star Donnie's voice. Reeves is studying him, not buying it. Donnie has the sudden urge for another drink. He lowers himself and sits on the ledge of the empty swimming pool. Reeves sits beside him. The sky is black, the area lit by only a bulb on a lamppost that must be set on timer. "I gotta tell you something, Reeves." Reeves turns to him. He puts a hand on Donnie's shoulder. "What is it?" "Can we go, what do you call it, off the record?" Reeves ponders this. "Sure, I won't write about anything you tell me unless you agree." "On the ship, I remember what happened now." Reeves gives him a quizzical look. "There was a woman, I think the same woman from the photo the FBI showed me about Benny, the same one from the beach." Reeves doesn't say anything, lets Donnie talk. "She forced me to jump." Reeves's eyes flash. "Wait, what?" Donnie nods. "She had a gun and—" He trails off. "You need to tell the authorities. You need to—" "I know." He says it without conviction. If the woman who forced him off the ship is somehow the same woman who was following Benny, maybe she's the blackmailer. And if so, that means she knows what they did to Mr. Brood. If the FBI catches up with her... He lets the thought die. Reeves's phone lights up and he checks the text, swipes it away. Donnie catches the wallpaper photo on the device. Like Reeves's laptop, it's a picture of a woman in a hospital bed. "We keep talking about me, but I still don't know much about you," Donnie says, trying to change the subject. "No one's writing a book about me." "Hell, maybe they should be, Hemingway." Reeves shakes his head. "Do you mind if I ask who that is on your phone?" Donnie eyes Reeves's iPhone. Reeves looks at his phone, clicks it so the screen goes black. "My best friend. She has Huntington's, an awful neurodegenerative disease. There's no cure yet, but there are some clinical trials that are showing promise." "I'm sorry, man. I hope she'll be okay." "If we can get her in one of the trials, they have this new technology where they inject viruses that attack and kill the bad DNA that causes the disease. If she was rich, she could go to another country where they're way ahead with DNA splicing." "That ain't right. I'll never understand it." "What's that?" "These rich dudes who have more money than they'll ever need, but waste it on flying into space or buying more companies or mansions, they could be Batman, like a real-life superhero, going around finding people in need and changing people's lives. I don't get it." Donnie thinks about Benny. Black Superman. Reeves looks at him. "If I had the cash, man, I'd give it to your friend." "You know what, Donnie? I think you really would."
Chapter 52. Jenna. Jenna's going to have to approach this differently. If the guy following the hitter is with the FBI, it means one of three things. 1, The FBI agent knows the hitter killed Ben Wood, or tried to kill Nico Atakai or Donnie Danger or Artemis Templeton. Or 2, he knows that Derek Brood hired the killer to take out the residents of Savior House. Or 3, Derek Brood and the hitter are the FBI's informants about what happened to Derek's father all those years ago, and the FBI has no idea that its confidential informants have also set out to kill everyone. 3 seems the least likely. There'd be no need to include the contract killer in informing to the FBI. It would be too risky. And the agent seems to be trailing the woman surreptitiously, not coming to the restaurant to meet her. Jenna needs to think, get her head on straight. She thinks of Artie in the back of the town car. We need to talk to Donnie and Nico. Find out if they slipped. Donnie and Nico adored you. They'll trust you. She needs to know what, if anything, Donnie and Nico have said to the FBI. She unzips the bag of goodies and retrieves the cell phone Artemis gave her that monitors the tracker on Donnie's rental car. Powering on the device, she waits until the blue dot appears. The car's about 10 minutes from here, parked somewhere off the interstate. She pushes the ignition button on the motorcycle and roars away. She tracks the blue dot to a highway hotel, a chain, and probably the only decent accommodations for miles. Donnie must be in for the night. She considers bribing the clerk to get his room number, but is spared that indignity when a thin, long-haired man appears in the parking lot. The old rocker looks around like a teenager sneaking out of the house, worried someone might see him. Jenna follows as Donnie pulls the Hyundai rental car out of the lot and heads back toward Chestertown. The night is cool for April, and the breeze feels good as Jenna jets down the interstate, which is littered with semis. The Hyundai takes the off-ramp, and soon they're on the south side, the Hyundai and the bike the only vehicles on the pothole-filled streets. Donnie slows near the corner of 4th and Union and pulls to a stop. Jenna kills the lights and veers to the side of the road. From a gap in the row houses appears a man. He walks to the car, leans inside. They shake hands. The exchange. Then the car juts forward. Oh, Donnie. The Hyundai putters away. Jenna continues to follow until they hit Woodrow, where most of the businesses, the ones that aren't covered in plywood with for rent signs on them anyway, are closed for the night. But there's one that has its lights on. Chestertown Liquor. The store's windows are covered with signs for bottom-shelf liquor and lottery tickets. Donnie goes inside and comes out gripping the neck of a bottle in a brown paper sack. Donnie drives some more and pulls in front of Savior House and sits in the car for a long time. The abandoned group home looms in the darkness. She eradicates memories creeping in. The interior light of the Hyundai goes on when the door opens and Donnie steps out. He's stumbling now and makes his way down the street. Jenna thinks she knows where he's going.
Chapter 53. Nico. Nico's thoughts are whirling. Ben came to the fort. He knew about the duffel bag, probably about it all. And then he ended up dead. Nico races through the woodland, the bag draped over his good shoulder, the contents making a dreadful clacking sound. He tears around trees and bramble until he sees lights winking through the trees. He finds his way to the path and darts toward the clearing on the knoll that's connected to Ned Flanders's house. Beyond the weeds and past a fallen tree, there's a rusty fence. It goes up to only his chest, but his shoulder is throbbing, making the climb difficult. The grass is slick from dew, and his sneakers slide as he climbs to the top of the hill. He's going to bury the bag and get the fuck out of this town and never look back. A sliver of moon appears, giving just enough light for him to make his way to the spot. He should have brought a flashlight. He can't turn on his phone to use his smartphone light without risking a tower pinging his location. He reaches the top, and his breath is stripped from him. The knoll, A small break in the trees between Ned Flanders's house and the woods is pitted with holes, 6 or 7 of them, each a few feet deep, like someone was looking for buried treasure. He doesn't have time to process or understand. He needs to move. He looks at the hole in front of him, on the same spot he'd helped dig 25 years ago, and throws the bag into the void. He falls to his knees and starts pushing dirt in to fill it. Later, he's filthy and sweaty and exhausted, but it's done. He needs a shower, but that will have to wait. For now, he's getting out of Chestertown. The street is pitch black. He's walked far enough away from the knoll, so he puts the SIM card back in his phone, powers it on, thumbs the Uber app. Unsurprisingly, no cars are available. A side hustle for Uber isn't worth venturing into this neighborhood after dark. He'll have to walk to Industrial Highway and stick out his thumb, or maybe the bus station. The area is familiar, and in his head he's on the way home from school with his friends. Annie's chewing bubble gum, skipping ahead of them. He sees the park up ahead. It was a disaster and dangerous even back then. He can only imagine what it's like now. The sight of his famous beatdown from Derek in front of Annie. All the streetlights surrounding the park are smashed out. He probably should steer clear. There could be danger in the shadows. But he keeps walking, the memories pulling him ahead like a casino calling his name. The blacktop is strewn with litter. The basketball stands and hoops, forever netless when they were kids, lie on the ground like fallen trees ripped from their roots. He stops. He can make out the monkey bars, the octagon cage where they would sit until sundown. He swears there's the outline of a figure on top, but it's just his mind playing tricks on him. He should go, but he keeps walking into the park. "You don't want to come over here, boss," a voice says in a southern drawl. "I've got a gun." The warning is a bluff, he knows. He also knows that voice. "Donnie?" Nico asks. Nico turns on his iPhone's flashlight, shines it on his own face. "Handsome? Is that you?" "It is, Donnie. It is." Chapter 54. Nico's sitting on top of the monkey bars next to Donnie, the two passing a bottle back and forth. They skip the small talk, and mercifully it's too dark for Donnie to notice the dirt all over Nico's hands and probably smearing his face. Or Donnie's too plastered, but it's always been hard to tell with Donnie. "I'm sorry about Ben," Nico says. Donnie nods, takes a swig. "You two keep in touch over the years?" Donnie nods again. He doesn't seem to want to talk about it. Nico doesn't mention finding the cufflink. Doesn't mention being at the tree fort. "What are you doing back here?" Donnie asks at last. "I've been asking myself the same question." "I hear you, brother." Nico says, "I don't know if you've been keeping up with the news, but what happened to me, it wasn't an accident," Donnie says, passing him the bottle. "Same," he says, referring to his fall from the cruise ship without elaboration. "Do you have any idea who's trying to kill you?" A female voice cuts in. "I know," she says. They twist around. "Who's there?" Donnie calls out. The woman emerges from the shadows. "What the hell are you doing back there?" asks Nico. Jenna replies, "That's what she said."
Chapter 55. Jenna. She's been watching them in the shadows, listening. Artie's fears appear to be unwarranted. Donnie and Nico haven't told anyone, much less the FBI, about Savior House, about anything. From what she's made out, they haven't spoken to each other in years, perhaps since the last time they were all together, 25 years ago. She emerges from the darkness, makes that stupid joke they used to love so much. Donnie appears ambivalent. She remembers him from that night. He seemed broken. He had gone along with Artie's plan only because of Ben, and it doesn't escape Jenna that if it weren't for her, the boys trying to prevent her from being taken, all of their lives would have been different. She'd been at Savior House only a brief time, but they put everything on the line for her. Donnie hops down, gives her a tentative look, like he's not sure he recognizes her. For his part, Nico looks perplexed. He says, "You're alive. We thought they took you and—" "I'm most certainly alive." She shrugs, smiles. Nico seems to be calculating something. If you're alive, then maybe Annie. But if so, he can't bring himself to say it. Jenna thinks of what Sabine told her yesterday. You're the only one we ever trained from Savior House. I only recruited the extraordinary, the special. Nico would say Annie was extraordinary, special, but not in the way Sabine meant. "What are you doing here?" Donnie asks, breaking the awkward silence. His words have a slur to them. Not the booze. Probably whatever he bought from the guy on the corner of K and 7th. "I imagine the same thing you're both doing." She looks at them both. "Trying to figure out who's trying to kill us."
Chapter 56. Nico. Nico looks at Jenna, who has grown into a beautiful woman. She retrieves the bottle from Donnie and takes a long pull. Nico can't help but think of her on the swing, which is now a nub of chain on a rusted frame. How she went after the boy who was beating him up while he lay pathetically on the ground. They've told one another about their lives after Savior House, after the place was shut down when its director disappeared. Donnie running off to Philly with Ben, joining a band, touring the world. Nico returning to Nicetown, getting fostered by a couple who both worked in television, one as a cameraman, the other a gaffer. Jenna taken in by a Frenchwoman, and now she's married, the stepmother of 2 daughters. "You know someone tried to kill Artie too?" Jenna asks. Nico and Donnie remain quiet. "Artie came to Philadelphia for Ben's funeral," she explains. "I spoke to him." Her legs swing under the monkey bars. She's comfortable up high without holding on. "Artie thinks he knows who." Nico's heart skips. "Who?" Donnie asks. "Derek Brood." The name causes a heavy silence. Finally, Donnie says, "But it was a woman who went after me on the ship." "She's a contract killer." "She's a what?" Donnie asks, his tone incredulous. "Did she go after you too?" Jenna asks Nico. "I couldn't see who it was. Coal mines are dark as hell. But I think it was a woman." "What happened to your shoulder?" she asks. He's not wearing the sling, so he's not clear how she knows about his injury, though maybe he's favoring his right arm. "Let me guess," Jenna says before he responds. "It was some type of pressurized puncture weapon that looks like a tube." Nico considers her. "How'd you—" "It's the same woman." Donnie says, "We should, go to the police or talk to the FBI guy who's investigating Benny's murder." Nico and Jenna exchange looks, as if they both know they can't go to the FBI. "An agent showed me a picture and said it's the same woman who was after me on the ship," Donnie continues. "I saw her again in Florida at the beach." "Did you call the FBI?" Jenna asks. "No, they just showed up at the hospital." "What did you tell them?" "Nothing. I didn't know anything to tell. Couldn't remember what happened. It's only just come back to me." They speak to you? She asks, looking at Nico. He shakes his head. He doesn't mention the FBI subpoenaing his phone records, possibly chasing him a few short hours ago. In the weak light, Jenna has a perplexed look on her face. She says, "If she was on your ship, how could she have been in a West Virginia coal mine at the same time?" Donnie says, "The FBI guy was asking the same thing since we were out to sea when Benny was killed. It can't be the same lady." Another long silence passes. "What are we going to do?" Nico says. "Can you both meet me tomorrow?" Jenna asks. Neither answers. Donnie's looking at the ground like he's lost in thought. Nico hesitates. He wants out of this shithole forever. "You have a plan?" Nico asks. Jenna doesn't answer. They're all thinking of the last time they executed a plan.
Chapter 57. Jenna. 25 years ago. Jenna puts on makeup, which she rarely wears. She's also borrowed a lower-cut shirt from one of the other girls, who's more boy-crazy. She looks at herself in the mirror, purses her lips, and heads downstairs to the chime of the dinner bell. There are 2 long school cafeteria-style tables in the dining room. Derek Brood and his crew of assholes catcall when they see Jenna. Mr. Brood, who always sits at the head of one of the tables, calls for quiet. They say grace and pass around bowls of whatever slop the kids on kitchen duty have come up with. Jenna sits across from Ben and asks him a question with her eyes. "Did you get the gun?" He nods. Next to him, Donnie stares absently at his plate, but doesn't eat. He's been drinking during the day again. They've all noticed. His breath smelling of grapes, the cheap wine he swipes from the convenience store and stashes near the tree fort in those scary woods. There's an empty chair where Annie usually sits. Nico looks destroyed. His face has dirt on it, and his fingernails are dark with grit. Mr. Brood tells him to go get cleaned up. Nico stands, the chair scraping on the floor. "Where is she?" he demands of Mr. Brood. This isn't part of the plan. Ben tells Nico to calm down, but he's staring daggers at Brood. "Where's who?" Derek says. "That slut girlfriend of yours? She ran off, probably at the bus station sucking." Nico lunges for Derek, but is held back by Ben and Donnie. "Enough," Mr. Brood says. "Nico, I know you're upset. I've reported Annie missing to the agency and the police. I'm sure she just needed a break and will come back. It happens sometimes." Nico's expression has hardened now. His gaze turns to Ben, and he nods, then walks upstairs to clean up. Artie appears in the doorway to the dining room. He usually doesn't eat with them. He spends most evenings a couple blocks away at Ned Flanders' house. Derek takes notice. "I didn't know robots need to eat." Derek's crew laughs too hard. It isn't even funny. Artie apologizes to Mr. Brood for his tardiness. Mr. Brood gestures for him to sit. It's true, Artie is an oddball. And truth be told, he is a touch robotic. "How's your project going?" Mr. Brood asks. "Mr. Jones says we're going to get the funding." "Good for you, Art." Mr. Brood addresses the table. "You see that, kids? You find something you're good at, work hard, and it will pay off." Derek mumbles something under his breath. Mr. Brood swings his arm so the back of his hand smacks Derek in the mouth. Jenna tries not to react, ignores the violence, focuses on the plan. It was Artie who devised the plan, after Nico told them all that the lady was coming for Jenna tomorrow. Step 1. Nico digs a hole in the secluded clearing in the woods behind Flanders' house. Check. Step 2. Ben and Donnie buy a handgun. Check. Step 3. Jenna lures Mr. Brood to her room at lights out. Artie told them that Marta said Mr. Brood touched her, hence Jenna's makeup and cleavage. After dinner, Derek goes out. He's Mr. Brood's son, not one of the foster kids, or loser orphans as he likes to call them, and isn't subject to the same rules. At lights out, Jenna asks Mr. Brood if she can speak with him about something. In private. Mr. Brood comes to her room. After he enters, Jenna closes the door, but he casually walks back over and opens it. That's when Ben appears from the closet, Donnie behind him. Ben strikes Mr. Brood with the butt of the gun, which is supposed to knock him out, but it doesn't. Mr. Brood takes Donnie down easily with a punch to the chest. He then charges Ben, tackling him to the floor. Jenna's heart is pounding. She's supposed to be the bait, but they need her help. She looks for something heavy that she can hit Mr. Brood with and finds nothing. Donnie is curled up, gasping for air, while Mr. Brood straddles Ben, his fist raised. Brood is a big man, 6 foot, more than 200 pounds. Jenna is about to jump on Brood's back, to scratch at his eyes like her father taught her, when Artie appears in the room. He has what looks like a car battery with shoulder straps attached to it, draped over his small frame. In each hand, battery cables. He walks over to Mr. Brood, who's still on top of Ben, and jams both ends of the cables on either side of Mr. Brood's ribs. Both Brood and Ben scream. Artie pulls back the cables and Ben manages to push Brood off of him. And Artie shocks Brood again. But Brood doesn't go down. He's so damned big. He grabs Artie by the neck and begins squeezing. Artie doesn't dare shock Brood now, because the current will run through both of them. Jenna comes from behind and kicks Mr. Brood between the legs, which causes him to buck forward. He claws at Artie, then bites Artie on the shoulder, eliciting a wail. Brood manages to stand up, his mouth red with blood. He makes the mistake of no longer being in physical contact with Artie, who takes the opportunity to touch the ends of the battery cables to Brood's neck. Brood vibrates and makes an unusual sound like a scream that's choked off. Artie removes the cables, and that's when Ben hits Brood with the butt of the gun again, taking him down. Minutes later, Mr. Brood is in a wheelbarrow, ranting at them through his gag as they roll him into the woods. Part 3. The Truth.
Chapter 58. The Twins. Present day. "We need to take care of him," Casey says into the burner phone. She's at an Airbnb in what passes for the nice side of Chestertown. Her sister Haley is sprawled out on the bed watching a show on her laptop. "Are you crazy?" the client snaps. "An FBI agent? The feds will throw every resource they have at it." "I'm not seeing much of a choice. He followed me into the restaurant. He knows." She glances out the window, watches bugs bounce against the porch light. "Are you sure?" "I told you, the benefit of hiring us is 2 sets of eyes. And yeah, he followed me all the way there and waited outside until we left." Casey wrinkles her nose, thinking of the low-quality beef at the steakhouse where Derek Brood took her for dinner. She adds, "That Lara Croft wannabe bitch was also following and backed off when she saw him. It's not going to take long for the agent to put everything together." Casey snaps her finger at Haley to pause the show on the laptop. She cups the receiver and says, "Don't watch the rose ceremony without me." They both love The Bachelor. An audible breath blows into Casey's ear over the phone line. "This has all gotten out of hand." She makes no reply. She catches Haley's glance and rolls her eyes at the client's whining. She waits as he wrings his hands. "You know where to find him?" he asks. "Yeppers," she says. Haley followed the agent after he left the restaurant. He's staying in a hotel off the interstate. It's only 2 mile markers down from the hotel where the old rock star is staying with the writer. "Okay," he says. Casey disconnects the line, falls onto the bed next to Haley. The laptop bounces and Haley catches it before it tumbles to the floor. Casey looks at the screen. One of the contestants, a thirsty bitch named Dallas, is frozen, her face distorted. "If he gives her the rose, I'm going to lose it." Before they resume the show, Casey says, "We need to be careful with this one. We'll need some space. Somewhere secluded. Find out what the agent knows." Haley thinks about it. They face each other and simultaneously say, "Semi-truck." They're 2 peas in a pod. Haley says, "I want to play the runaway teen hooker." Casey replies, You got to last time. And we need you to play the corporate executive. Though they are so much alike, their divergent upbringings suit them for certain roles. Haley hits play and the show resumes. They both swear at the screen as Dallas, wearing a slinky sequin dress, totters down from the group of girls and accepts her rose.
Chapter 59. Donnie. Donnie wakes up in the Holiday Inn Express. The room has 2 single beds and a sofa sleeper. The bed next to his is empty, but it's been slept in. And there's a sound coming from the sofa. A male form under a blanket. Nico. It's coming back to him. The playground with Nico and Jenna. The decision to stay together, safety in numbers. The bed spins before he passed out. He rises, stumbles to the bathroom, and relieves his bladder. He wonders where Jenna is. She's the one who insisted they all cram into Donnie's small room at the Interstate Hotel. He's still wearing his clothes from yesterday. Raising his arm, he smells his armpit. Whoa, he needs a shower, but first he needs to regroup. He's feeling unusually restless today. Not the hangxiety or boozanoia you get sometimes when you drink too much, but a genuine sense of impending doom. He supposes that's understandable. Jenna said that Derek Brood hired the crazy lady who forced him off the boat, and probably whoever tried to blow up Nico in the coal mine, and whoever tried to assassinate Artemis Templeton. Did Brood also have Benny killed? The news said they'd made an arrest of some dude Benny had put away. But that FBI agent seemed skeptical about that. Donnie opens the curtains a crack. The room is on the ground floor and faces the parking lot. Jenna is pacing outside as she talks on her phone. "You got any aspirin?" Nico says, sitting up, his eyes squinting from the light. "Sure, Hollywood." Donnie digs into his travel bag. The bottle of Advil rattles as he tosses it to Nico, who misses the catch. Nico downs the pills without water. He looks around the room. "Where's Jenna?" "On a call outside." Donnie gestures to the window. Nico looks pale, clammy. There's a knock on the door, sending a wave of panic through him. But it can't be the crazy hit lady. Jenna's outside and would warn them. Donnie peers through the peephole. It's Reeves. Donnie opens the door, steps outside. He doesn't want Reeves to see Nico. It will invite more questions. Donnie sees Jenna eyeing them from across the lot, phone still pressed to her ear. "I'm headed out," Reeves says. "I wanted to say goodbye before the Uber gets here." He hands Donnie the keys to the rental car. "Cool, man. We'll connect next week." Reeves nods. "I'm looking forward to seeing what you put together for the book," Donnie says. "Me too. You've given me a lot of material to work with." "Try not to make me look too stupid, okay, Hemingway?" Donnie grins. They shake hands. The Uber pulls into the lot and Reeves heads over. Before he gets in, he stops, calls out, "Hey, Donnie." "Yeah." "It was an honor to hear your story." "Shucks, man." Donnie gives him a crooked smile. The Uber disappears and Donnie returns to the room. "Who was that?" Nico asks, seeming both curious and concerned. "A writer?" "Writer?" "Yeah, long story, but we're working on a book about my life, if you can believe that." Nico raises a brow. "Don't worry, it's about the band." "Is that why you're here? I hope he's not going to dig into—" "Don't worry, Hollywood, it's all good." Nico tilts his head to the side. "What if he—" "Don't worry. The book won't get into anything before I joined Tracer." "It's a lie, but not a big one." "Then why are you in Chestertown?" Donnie decides it's safe to tell Nico about his conversation with Benny's law clerk and the cryptic message he left for Donnie. "He said we all had it wrong. He said the proof is with Boo Radley." "What the hell does that mean?" asks Nico. "You got me, boss. Boo Radley apparently is a character in a book. I thought coming back might rattle something loose." And no such luck." "I hate this fucking town," Nico sighs. Me too, Hollywood. Me too.
Chapter 60. Jenna. In the hotel's parking lot, Jenna looks out at the interstate, the steady hum of traffic making it hard to hear Artemis on her cell phone. "You are sure?" he asks in that monotone voice of his. "As sure as I can be. I don't think either of them reached out to the FBI. Donnie said the agent came to his hospital room, showed him a photo of a woman who was on the cruise ship. But there's no way she could have been on the ship and in D.C. when the hitter tried to take you out." Jenna still hasn't told him that she was the shooter, that the woman who set her up for the job knew about her past with the corporation and threatened her family. "You believe him?" "I think so. Donnie hasn't changed all that much and doesn't exactly keep things close to the vest." Artemis makes a noise of agreement, no doubt recalling the whimsical Southern boy from their youth. "What about Nico? My team says he's a TV producer, but owes a sizable sum to the O'Learys." "Who are the O'Learys?" "A Philadelphia crime family." "What's the debt for? Drugs?" "No, gambling. The other reason people borrow money from bankers who wear leather jackets and gold chains and carry brass knuckles." Nico said he hasn't spoken to the FBI, and when Donnie mentioned reaching out to the agent, Nico shot it down quickly. She notices that Donnie is outside the hotel room now. He's talking to someone, a guy who looks like a college professor. Blazer with jeans, wavy hair that touches his shoulders. "Okay. I guess we need to approach Derek Brood." Artemis says approach like it's a code for something. "The agent's following him, so I'm not sure about the best play here," Jenna says. "In business, sometimes you have to go directly to the top." Jenna listens, waits. "I'm going to set up a meeting," Artemis finally says. "Just like that? You'd be surprised how quickly people drop everything when I call." "Okay, a meeting. Then what?" "I'll have a business discussion with Brood. If that doesn't work, well, you'll have to join the meeting. And you'll need to bring Donnie and Nico. Like before." Artemis clearly wants them to be part of whatever happens, so they all have something to lose. "And how will I know if your negotiation is successful or unsuccessful?" "Easy." Jenna waits. "If it's not a success, he'll bring the woman who's been trying to kill us all."
Chapter 61. The Twins. Casey wanders the lot. Semis are lined up to create an oversized maze at the truck stop. They need a truck. It's the best portable interrogation site around. Isolated, windowless, easy to clean, hard to trace. She's mussed her hair, donned a tank top and fishnet stockings she's ripped. For this role, she needs to look like a teen who's trying to look like she's young and for sale. Fishnets are how television depicts prostitutes, and how Casey imagines a runaway would offer her wares. The universal signal, Casey learned it from 5 minutes on the internet, is flashing headlights. She also learned the going rate for a lot lizard is 30, 60, 90, each for a sex act more awful than the last. When no one flashes their lights, she decides to be more aggressive. She climbs the steps to a rig, knocks on the window. The trucker rolls down the glass. "I'm sorry, but I'm not interested." He has a lined face, beard, displays his wedding ring. Casey considers jolting him with the stun gun, her second favorite weapon of choice after the captive bolt. But he's a big guy. The hand he displayed with the ring is as big as a bear's, and the current from the mini stun gun, that's designed to look like a tube of lipstick, might not take him down. Casey steps off and continues roaming the lot. She hadn't anticipated it taking so long. It's lunchtime. Maybe that's the problem. She might just have to steal a truck. She's driven a rig. Her uncle is a long hauler, but she doesn't know how to hotwire one. She goes inside the diner, finds a spot where she's hard to miss. She looks like she's been on the streets for a time, but with her curves and face, she's not your average lot lizard. Someone will bite at the hook. She orders a water and gets a frown from the waitress. "You can't sit in here unless you order food." Bitch. Casey isn't hungry, so she decides she'll head back to the lot. But a voice from one of the booths says, "You hungry? Go ahead and order. I'll take care of it." A man in his late 20s, a clean-cut white trucker with a friendly smile, waves at her. The waitress seems like she may say something to Casey, warn her, perhaps, but instead asks impatiently what Casey wants. She orders pancakes. "Pancakes! In the afternoon," the guy says. Casey shrugs. He smiles. "I like breakfast all day, too." Casey minds her own business, plays hard to get. The food arrives and Casey eats like she's starving, uses her fingers. "Where are you headed?" the man asks. She shrugs. "Strong, silent type. I get it." She eats, her eyes rising to catch his. He wears a vest and jeans, and it's hard to tell if he's a creep or good Samaritan. "I'm going to New York," she says. He nods. "What's in New York?" She shrugs again. He pulls out a wad of bills, puts the money on the table for his check, then walks over, drops a 20 for hers. "This ought to cover it. Safe travels," he says, and heads to the door. She almost calls out to him, but patience is the key. The man makes it to the door, stops. "I'm headed north," he says. And there it is. She keeps eating. "I can, drop you in Newark, if that helps?" She doesn't reply. He lingers for a beat, then says, "Well, good luck to you." "Wait," she says, before he's out the door. The waitress is watching, shaking her head like she's seen this a million times before. "What do I have to do in return for the ride?" The guy looks baffled, then understands. "Oh, my, you don't have to do anything. It's not like that." Casey nods, pays the check, then follows him out. On the way, he tells her his name is Chet. Still in character, she doesn't offer her name. His rig is parked next to about 10 others side by side in the lot. He climbs the steps to the cabin, gestures for her to go to the other side. 10 minutes later, they're on I-95. Breaking the quiet, she asks, "What are you hauling?" "I just dropped off a load in Wilmington, and I'm heading to New Jersey for another." Casey nods. That's what she needs, an empty trailer. She feels for the lipstick stun gun tucked into the pocket on her skirt. "You have family in New York?" he asks. "Something like that." "I hear you. I've got a lot of something like that in my life, too." He smiles. It's a nice smile. He's handsome in a plain, almost dopey way. "Want me to turn on some music or something?" he asks. "Whatever you'd like." He says, "I like the quiet. Out here on the road, you turn off the radio and it's like you're on a deserted island. No bosses, no parents, no TV, no social media. It's peaceful." He looks ahead at the interstate like he's taking it in, like it's a scenic villa in Italy or some kind of long hauler's pilgrimage trail. "Does it get lonely?" she asks. Casey spent the first 18 years of her life on the farm feeling a deep sense of loneliness, until she found Haley, reunited after the twins had been so cruelly separated at birth. She's learned that it's common, twins separated at birth. Great for social scientists who do nature versus nurture research, but not so much for the twins themselves. Lonely? He thinks about this. Not really. I pick up hitchhikers sometimes, and we have the CB, but I'm fine on my own. It sounds nice. He's nice. She contemplates getting out at the next truck stop, finding a different rig. Then she imagines Haley mocking her for going soft on this dude. "Oh, crap," she says. She digs through her backpack. "What is it?" "I left my wallet at the diner. It's got my ID." "Oh, no." He looks at his watch. I can take you back. No, I can get back there. Pull over at the next stop and I'll figure it out. He thinks more, then acquiesces. No idea how lucky he is. At the exit for the next truck stop, he veers off the interstate, slows to a stop in the lot. He smiles again, looks at her. I really don't mind taking you back. No, you have a job to get to. I can handle it. You be careful out there. She nods, then turns to open the door. In an instant, she experiences a wave of panic as she feels an arm clenched around her neck chokehold style and a cloth clamped against her face. She feels a burning sensation on her cheeks, nose, and lips, and before she can fight him off, her world goes black.
Chapter 62. Jenna. Back in the hotel room, Jenna sits cross-legged on the bed. Nico sits on the sofa, and Donnie shuffles on his feet, emanating nervous energy. She can't help but flash back to Savior House, the kids sitting at the long dining room table as Mr. Brood held court. I spoke to Artie, she tells them. They say nothing. He has a plan. Both men look down, no doubt remembering the last time Artemis Templeton had a plan. He's going to set up a meeting with Derek, offer him money to drop this. Nico raises his eyes.
He thinks that will work. Whoever is trying to kill us hired a contract killer. Maybe more than one. They went on a cruise ship, blew up a coal mine. You said they went after your family. I don't think this is about money.
Jenna shrugs. Nico continues.
Derek agreed to meet.
Artie's reaching out to him, but he seemed confident he could set it up.
Where? Somewhere public, I hope. If not, Artie ought to make sure his affairs are in order,
Nico says. Jenna agrees that somewhere public would be the safest course. But she also knows it won't be a public meeting, in case Jenna has to execute the backup plan. Donnie remains quiet, his eyes still on the matted carpet. Finally, he asks,
What if he won't take the money?
Jenna figures he already knows the answer. Artie will convince him. He suggested it would take a lot of zeros.
But what if he doesn't take it?
Donnie asks again. Nico and Jenna share a knowing glance. Jenna says, In that case, Artie asked that all three of us come, that we try to convince him to stop this nonsense. Donnie stares out at nothing, and Jenna pictures a younger version of that same vacant stare on a rainy night 25 years ago. Nico clears his throat.
I'd bet on Artie getting it done.
Jenna's burner phone pings with a text. It's set, she tells them. Tonight at 7 o'clock. Say what you want about Artemis Templeton. He makes things happen.
Maybe that's the damn problem,
Donnie says. Ignoring that, Nico asks,
Where do we meet?
7 o'clock at Savior House. She waits for the questions, the concerns about the locale, their now shuttered group home. Instead, Donnie goes into the restroom. There's the sound of the faucet. When he comes out, his face is wet, like he's doused himself. He moves to the door.
Where are you going, Don?
Nico asks. Donnie doesn't answer. He opens the door, goes outside, then closes it behind him. Nico gives Jenna a curious look. Jenna goes to the window, moves the curtains, and looks outside. She sees Donnie's rental car tearing out of the lot.
Chapter 63. The Twins. Casey opens her eyes. Everything is blurry, and she's disoriented. Before she comprehends what's going on, she feels hands around her neck. When she sees the trucker's face, it all comes back to her like a knife to the chest. The trucker pulling over to let her out, the chloroformed rag over her nose and mouth. The rig isn't moving. Maybe she's only been out for a few seconds. She has no idea. The trucker looks her deep in the eyes, squeezes her neck hard enough to show he's serious. It's strange how his face has changed, morphed from the aw-shucks guy next door into a dead-eyed killer. Still holding her neck, he says, "You're going to get in the back and do what I say." Casey nods. She sees her skirt is hiked up, but the fishnets are still on, like she regained consciousness sooner than the trucker expected. He releases his hold on her neck, shows her a large hunting knife. "I'll do whatever you want. Just don't hurt me." "Get back there and take off your clothes. If you scream, I won't hesitate to use this." He raises the knife. The long blade is smudged with dirt, or maybe blood that's gone brown. Casey's heart is beating, adrenaline flowing. Her face feels sunburned, tender. She climbs into the cabin behind the front seats, which is separated by a curtain. In the back, there's a mattress. Then she notices the handcuffs, the jug of lubricant, the sex toys. She takes off her tank top, baring her breasts. The trucker appears excited, but he makes himself look out the windshield, checking the lot before climbing in back with her. He grabs her by the neck with one hand again, looks her in the eyes. She gently puts a hand on his. "You don't have to be rough. Slow down. Let's do this right." But his grip doesn't loosen. He doesn't have to be rough. He wants to be rough. He removes his hand and starts unbuttoning his pants. It's then that Casey removes her skirt, taking the lipstick stun gun from the pocket and putting it on top of her pile of clothes as if it fell out. Chet's about to pounce. Casey pushes herself back against the wall, spreads her legs. While he's distracted by that, she palms the lipstick, untwists the cap with one hand. He's crawling toward her, breathing heavily. She startles when he jumps on top of her. As he's about to violate her, she jams the stun into his neck. She triggers the device, struggling out from under him. She holds it against his neck as Chet sputters, spasms, and collapses, incapacitated now. Casey's eyes land on the hunting knife that he left within easy reach. She scolds herself for being fooled, for thinking of letting him go. Lesson learned. Show no mercy. He's motionless, but she gives him another 3 million volts, just to be sure. He vibrates like a man on the electric chair, then goes still again. Naked from the waist down, he moans, drool bubbling at the corner of his mouth. Still naked herself, Casey places the stun gun directly on his cock. "I know you didn't want me to make any noise," she says, looking him straight in his widening eyes. "But I'm fine, if you want to scream."
Chapter 64. Nico. Nico shushes Jenna as he watches the local newscast on the hotel room's television. On the screen is a photo of Ben Wood in his black robe, looking dashing and distinguished. There have been new developments in the murder of a prominent Philadelphia federal judge. The primary suspect in the murder, Damon Angelos, was released due to insufficient evidence. Angelos, who had threatened Judge Wood during his sentencing in an unrelated case nearly a decade ago, was arrested shortly after Judge Wood's body was found in Delaware County. A spokesperson for the Philadelphia Police Department has declined to comment other than to say that Mr. Angelos is no longer a suspect. Jenna says, "The hit woman's frame-up apparently didn't stick." The newscaster continues. Angelos's release comes on the heels of another development in the case. Police released video footage of Judge Wood the day before his body was found in an industrial area of Chestertown. An image of Ben paying for gas and a bottled water at a gas station appears on the screen. The judge was caught on the security camera at a gas station in Chestertown, ending speculation that he had been carjacked and taken there. The screen flips to another image of Ben, this time in a building lined with bookshelves. That same afternoon, the judge was captured on video at the Chestertown Community Library. Police are asking anyone who may have seen Judge Wood that day or has any additional information to contact them at the number on your screen. Nico considers this, Why the library? Ben used to spend a lot of time there, but why now? He pictures Ben lugging an armful of books into his room at Savior House. Then it hits him. Boo Radley, he says aloud. Jenna gives him a quizzical look. Ben's law clerk gave Donnie a message from him. Nico stops. Ben referenced a character from a book. She said, "The proof is with Boo Radley." "From To Kill a Mockingbird?" Jenna says. Nico thinks so, nods. He gives a message about some book after he was at a library. "Maybe he left something hidden in the book or something?" Jenna says, as if thinking aloud. "It can't hurt to check it out." Jenna doesn't answer, but instead grabs the motorcycle helmet and charges outside, Nico on her heels. Chapter 65. Nico's holding onto Jenna's waist as she races the motorcycle through the streets of Chestertown. She chivalrously offered him the helmet, and he didn't refuse. Her hair flows in the wind like she's some kind of superhero. She kind of is, he thinks, and he's glad she's here. She inspires confidence. He doesn't know what happened to her, where life took her after Savior House. Perhaps it was the military or some other field training, since she seems unflappable. She has mentioned her family, but she's otherwise been vague about her past. 15 minutes later, they pull into the empty lot of the Francis L. Rizzo Library. Nico remembers going to the library on that day he doesn't want to think about. Ben insistent they needed to go. They go inside, and the place still smells the same, aged paper and printer's ink. The building is old, but well cared for. To the left is the kids' section. Beanbag chairs dot the floor and face a bulletin board covered with cut-out letters that say, "Our books are better." A poster with the cat in the hat says, "Read." To the right are rows of bookshelves and smaller bookstands displaying hardcovers and audiobooks. Straight ahead, a librarian sits at a reference desk. Jenna makes a beeline for the reference computer. She taps on the keyboard, finds what she's looking for, and points to the call number. She then leads Nico to one of the shelves, passing the library's current patrons, an elderly man reading a newspaper at one of the tables, and a homeless guy asleep in a lounge chair. Jenna runs her fingers along the books and stops. She pulls 2 books from the shelf, both copies of To Kill a Mockingbird. She hands one to Nico and starts flipping through the pages, examining the spine, looking for a note tucked in or message written inside. Nico does the same thing with his copy. They do this until both come up empty. "It was a long shot," Jenna says. "I thought we were going to find something. I mean, he was here. And Boo Radley. What else could it mean if he wasn't referring to the character?" They returned the books to the shelf and approached the reference desk. The librarian, a 30-something woman with dimples and sparkling eyes, looks up from her paperwork. "Can I help you?" Jenna takes the lead. "I hope so," she says, smiling. "We're doing a podcast about the murder of Benjamin Wood, and we understand he visited the library. And we hoped you might be willing to talk to us." She regards Nico. "Are you on that show with the miners?" It's not like Nico to get flustered, but the librarian is gorgeous. At first, he thought she looked like one of those perky Pilates women, but he notices she has tattoos sleeved on both arms, famous literary quotes and images by the looks of them. "That's me," he grins. "My brother's a big fan of the show," she says. "I'm not much of a reality TV person myself, but I've watched a few episodes with him, and those coal miners, well, they're characters." "You have no idea," Nico says. "Maybe we should send your brother a selfie." He widens his mischievous smile. Her eyes light up. That would be hilarious. She's already tapping on her phone. Nico takes the phone, turns around, and takes the shot of the two of them. He examines the photo and is surprised that the librarian has her tongue sticking out like the guy from Kiss and is making the sign of the horns with her hand. A pose only a big brother would appreciate. He returns her phone and she looks at the shot. Oh, he'll love this. Thank you. Nico says, So we wondered if you remember anything from the day Judge Wood visited the library. Like I told the FBI agent, I didn't even see the judge that day. You didn't see him at all? Jenna asks. I wish I had, but no. The FBI apparently tracked the judge's phone here. They asked for our security camera footage. Her eyes moved to the cameras mounted on the ceiling. We saw the video of the judge on the news. Have you seen it? Oh, yeah. Do you know where he was in the library? What section? Nico turns and gestures around. The librarian hesitates. We don't give out information on customers. What someone chooses to read is their own business. But I suppose it's okay to tell you where he was since the video's been made public. He was in the back there. She points to the far corner away from the shelves. They thank her and walk over. The section has a sign that reads, Delaware County Property Records. There are stacks of large ledgers and books that look like boundary plats and other land archives. What do you think he was doing over here? Nico asks. Jenna shakes her head like she hasn't a clue. I mean, how often would anyone be looking through this stuff? Most records are probably available online. She walks over to a large bound volume that's on top of a reference table. She opens it and flips the pages absently. It seems like a complicated dead end. Still, she flips through the volume slowly, stopping at a page that's bookmarked. The makeshift bookmark is a scrap of paper someone has folded into a 5-pointed star. This is Carver Street. That's 2 blocks from Savior House. Nico stands next to her. He picks up the bookmark. Jenna has a flash of a memory of Ben at the library, a group of folded stars on the table where he was reading. The memory is confirmed when Nico puts his finger on some writing on the star. Brood Robot LLC, Fagin Jones. You think Ben wrote this? Nico asks. Before Jenna answers, he adds, What's it mean? I have no idea, Jenna says, but it lists an LLC, and I know someone who's an expert at tracking companies and identifying people. Who's that? Nico asks. An adorable tax lawyer.
Chapter 66. Donnie. The rental car is vibrating. Donnie's foot is to the floor and he hasn't slowed since he peeled out of the hotel parking lot. His thoughts are swimming, his chest having a hard time capturing air, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. He needs to slow down. Breathe. He takes controlled breaths, trying to level himself off, trying to stem the panic attack or whatever this is. He can't do this anymore. It's all too much. Benny is gone and nothing he does is going to change that. If Derek Brood wants Donnie dead for what they did, so be it. He's survived Derek before and he'll do it again, but he's spent more than half his life trying to escape what they did that night, and he'll be damned if he's going to do it again. He needs a drink. He eyes the landscape. There's a billboard for a strip club off exit 43. He's always been popular at the clubs. One of Tracer's Bullet's songs is a staple for pole dancers. It's no pour some sugar on me, but a close second. He decides against it. The dancers love social media, and he doesn't need attention right now. He's still in the afterglow of his fall, push off the cruise ship, so there's a risk paparazzi would notice the posts and show up. He sees a sign for Lester. There's gotta be a hole-in-the-wall bar there. Every forgettable drive over town has a dank bar where patrons mind their own business. He takes the exit and follows the signs into town. Sure enough, there it is, a bar called Drink. If you insist, he thinks. He parks the car on the street and heads inside. At the overglossed bar, Donnie orders a maker's mark from the bearded barman. The customers include a barfly who wears too much eyeliner, an old-timer with a face like an old leather shoe, a tattooed guy crouching over his drink like he's in the prison mess hall. If any of them recognize Donnie, they don't show it. Donnie takes his drink to a table in the back. The familiar sting of the whiskey reaches his sinuses and warms his insides. He doesn't want to think about it all, but he can't turn off the questions in his head. Will Jenna and Nico and Artie kill another brood? What about that gal trying to kill them? Will they off her too? Where does it stop? His mind floats to Benny again. It's okay. I'm here. But you're not here. I'm scared, Benny. He finishes the drink, walks over, orders another. On his fourth Maker's, he's feeling the familiar soupy sensation in his head. The barfly keeps glancing over, but he's not in the mood. His thoughts go to Reeves Rothschild, wondering what the writer will make of the fragments of life that he's shared with the young man. The past few days, he's opened old sores, exposed some of them to Reeves, and now it feels like they're infected again. Maybe his true fear is that when he reads the pages, he'll realize that his career, his life, are a joke. The punchline, him falling out of a boat. He closes his eyes, massages his temples with a hand. When he opens them, there's a man standing in front of his table. It's the FBI agent. Rodriguez is his name. Can we talk? He asks. Donnie considers protesting, telling him to piss off, but instead he kicks the chair opposite, sliding it open a gap, an invitation to sit. Get you a drink? Donnie offers. Agent Rodriguez shakes his head. Not while I'm on duty. Donnie frowns, downs his Makers. Suit yourself, but I'm getting another. He stands. You know what? Sure, I'll take a beer. What kind? Donnie asks. Surprise me. Donnie returns with 2 glasses of whiskey. Surprise, he says, setting down the drinks. The FBI agent lets out an exasperated sigh, but he reaches for the drink, takes a sip, winces like it's rocket fuel. I was hoping we could talk, Rodriguez says. Talking is a two-way street, man, Donnie says. Last time our conversation went one way. The agent nods, gives a fair enough expression. You have questions? Ask away. Donnie takes a pull of his drink. All right. Who killed Benny? That's what I'm trying to figure out. I thought y'all made an arrest, one of the criminals he put away. The FBI didn't make that arrest. Philly PD did, based on an anonymous tip. They've since had to release the suspect. Donnie narrows his eyes. The agent continues. It looks like a setup. Someone must have researched defendants who'd previously threatened Judge Wood. During his sentencing 8 years ago, some dipshit threatened the judge, and it was reported in the newspapers. Google Ben's name and the word threat, and it's the first link that pops up. And what? You think whoever killed Benny researched it and dropped a dime on the guy? Looks that way. The guy has an airtight alibi. He was in Kansas City at the time, visiting his brother. So who, then? That woman in the picture you showed me? Possibly. Who is she? I don't know. Well, what do you know? You came all the way here for a reason. The FBI agent retrieves his phone, shows a photo to Donnie. It's a skeleton, displayed on a sheet or blanket. The agent swipes his finger and there's a close-up of the skull, which has a hole in the forehead the size of a quarter with hairline cracks shooting out from its circumference. He swipes again, and there are 5 shell casings that appear to be covered with mud or dirt. Damn. Who's that? We're not sure. Donnie shakes his head, puts on his best poker face. We had our computer forensic team do a deep dive into Judge Wood's computer. His phone's still missing. And they found these photos. Donnie tries not to react, but his thoughts trip to what Mia told him. Someone was blackmailing him. I don't understand, he tells Rodriguez. Maybe it was from one of his cases or something. We considered that, but there was a message with the pictures. It said there's DNA from the victim's teeth and the gun, and Ben could purchase it for $100K and help fix a case. 2 days after receiving these photos, Judge Wood withdrew $100,000 from his account. Donnie shrugs, tries to look befuddled. His wife's rich, so that's not a lot of money to them. Agent Rodriguez frowns. So you think whoever sent the photos killed him? The FBI agent cocks his head. I don't know, but that doesn't make much sense to me. Why kill him? He withdrew the funds, so it looks like he either paid the blackmail or planned to. I'm sorry, boss, but I'm not following you. You know what I think, the agent says. Donnie drains his glass, waits for him to continue. I think that Judge Wood did something when he was younger, and, given the bones, I can only surmise it was something terrible. And someone knew and was blackmailing him. Maybe others were involved with whatever happened to that skeleton. He gives Donnie a pointed look. Interesting theory. And maybe Judge Wood tried to figure out who was blackmailing him and found something new. Does Boo Radley mean anything to you? No. Why? Donnie lies. No reason. The agent lies back at him. Obviously, the law clerk told the agent the same thing she told Donnie about Benny's message. You have any idea who was blackmailing him? Donnie asks. The agent hesitates, like he's considering how much to share. Let's just say we think we identified a case Judge Wood might have fixed. A highly unusual dismissal of a racketeering charge against a member of the O'Leary family out of the Nicetown neighborhood in Philly. You know anyone from Nicetown? Donnie shakes his head. And the photo of the bones, well, it was sent from a computer in West Virginia. The URL's from a computer owned by a TV network. Donnie still isn't following. Then it hits him hard, like a semi-truck barreling down the highway. Nico.
Chapter 67. Nico. Where are we going? Nico asks Jenna as she hides the motorcycle in the tall weeds on a vacant lot a block from Savior House. To Mr. Get Off My Lawn's place, Jenna says. Nico smiles, remembering all the crazy names they had for the characters in their Chestertown neighborhood. There was Meth Head Ted, who was in dire need of dentistry, Ned Flanders, the guy who was helping Artie with his computer projects, Urkel, the black guy with thick glasses who worked at the bodega. They had more nicknames for folks than coal miners. Mr. Get Off My Lawn was the neighbor across the street from Savior House. A crank who sat on his porch with a perpetual scowl, complained about the group home ruining the neighborhood, threatened them if they so much as stepped a foot on his grass. They pushed through a rusted chain-link gate to the backyard, which, like the rest of the neighborhood, is unkempt and half-dead. Jenna pulls open the screen door, which hangs on only one hinge, then kicks the doorknob, causing the lock to splinter and the door to burst open. There's the clicking sound of tiny feet, and Nico shudders as he thinks back to those rats in the mine. The past 3 days truly have been a surreal disaster. Jenna sweeps the house for any unwanted tenants, both of the 2- and 4-legged variety. Then she pries open a board covering the front window, giving them a clear view of Savior House. What now? Nico asks, glancing at his phone. The meeting with Derek Brood isn't for 3 hours. Jenna looks at him like it's a dumb question. We wait. An hour passes, and Nico glances up from his phone and notices Jenna staring at him. He's already made several bets on DraftKings. Jenna says, "I have a teenager and she spends less time glued to her phone than you." Am I supposed to be doing something else? Forgive me, I don't know stakeout etiquette. Jenna frowns, continues contemplating him. "Can I ask you something?" Nico shrugs. "I don't remember. Why were you at Savior House? I mean, what happened to your parents?" Nico doesn't know why she's asking. It's an odd question, all things considered. What does it matter? My old man, he was, for lack of a better word, a fiend. He abused you? Nico isn't much for therapy hour, but there's nothing else to do. Not so much me, mostly my mom. She took it for years, but finally she had to escape. He remembers the day at the beach. He thumbs the St. Christopher necklace that matches the one she wore. Did you ever reconnect with them? Nico releases a cynical laugh. My dad disappeared, an occupational hazard when you work for the O'Learys. And my mom, no, I never saw her again. For years, Nico was so angry at her. He once did some internet sleuthing and found out she was alive. She was not on social media, but there was a local newspaper story about Gloria Attikai organizing a bake sale, with funds going to a domestic abuse shelter in Los Angeles. She'd always dreamed of living on the West Coast. He considered reaching out, but she's an old woman now. If she wanted to locate him, Nico isn't hard to find. Your parents? Nico asks. Jenna shakes her head. Car crash. What I wouldn't give to see them again. Nico decides to change the subject. I've Googled Fagan Jones and Robot LLC and come up with nothing. Assuming it was Ben who wrote the note, what's with all the cryptic messages? I mean, why not spell it out? Jenna shrugs. He was a judge. Didn't want anyone to know, I suppose. And the note from the library was just a note to himself. He knew what it meant. Anyway, we'll see what my husband finds. Nico feels a wave of guilt. Maybe if he hadn't been so shameless, so greedy, Ben would still be here. Maybe if he wouldn't have gotten in so deep with Shane O'Leary. Maybe if he'd admit that the reason he never reached out to his mom is that he knows the hard reality, that she has no interest in seeing her cowardly son, the one who didn't protect her. Nico examines Jenna as she peers out the window. What would the odds makers give the chances of Derek Brood backing down, taking Artie's money? And what happens if he refuses? What odds would they give on Nico coming out on the other side of this, particularly with that FBI agent seeming to know that he blackmailed Ben? Nico loves the thrill of beating the odds. But this is a long shot not even he would take.
Chapter 68. The Twins. Outside the dive bar, Haley waves to Casey, who's driving the semi-truck. Casey's face is tomato red and she's wearing a trucker hat. That driver picked the wrong girl. Casey pulls the rig to the side of the road. The vehicle's too big for the area and risks grabbing a cop's attention, so they need to be fast. They're losing daylight, and Casey's sideshow with the truck driver costs them time. While Casey was with the trucker, Haley tracked the FBI agent. He's going to notice her tailing him sooner or later, so it's now or never. The agent has been inside the bar for about an hour. Haley risked peeking inside and she saw him talking to the guy from the cruise ship. Haley smiles, remembering him plummeting into the Atlantic. Who would have thought the geezer could survive? Good on him. Across the street, Casey is opening the back of the rig, lowering the ramp. They'd better hope no cops come by. She feels a stab of worry that Casey hasn't gotten rid of the trucker's body. Finally, the agent emerges from the bar. His jaw is set like he's having a day, and he takes no notice of the rig. Haley walks across the street, making sure he can't miss her. He's been on their trail, and she's counting on him noticing. Halfway across the street, she can virtually feel his eyes snag on her. She walks slowly up the ramp and inside the big rig's trailer. It's empty and has railings running along each side to secure cargo. She feels the slightest shift in the floor as the agent climbs into the trailer. She keeps her back to the entry, giving him plenty of time. "Turn around! Slowly!" the voice demands. Haley twists around. "Oh my God, you scared the crap out of me," she smiles. The agent stands, jaw tight, hands gripping his service weapon. "Put your hands up." Haley smiles again. "Are you serious right now? Is this a joke? Did my sister put you up to this?" "This is no damn joke. Hands up on your knees." Haley's eyes widen. "Okay, you don't have to be rude about it." She raises her hands, lowers to her knees. The agent keeps his gun trained on her. With his left hand, he reaches around for cuffs strapped to his belt. She didn't know FBI agents carried handcuffs. You learn something new every day. "Turn around," he commands. "How am I supposed to do that? I'm on my knees and—" "Do it!" A tinge of fear creeping into his voice. Haley makes an exaggerated shuffle on her knees and puts her back to him again. "Hands behind your back!" Before she moves them, there's a loud buzz and a scream. Haley turns her head and the agent is sprawled on the bed of the trailer. Casey's holding the stun gun and still pressing it against the nape of the agent's neck. "Careful with that thing," Haley says. "You hit the metal and you could zap us all." "Wouldn't that be something?" "Your face." "What the hell?" Haley says, examining her sister. "Chloroform burn." The agent groans. They drag him to the side, use his own handcuffs to secure him to the rail. Standing before him, Haley says, "You ever watched that Spider-Man movie where 3 Spideys from different multiverses meet?" she asks the agent. He doesn't respond. "Yeah, well," Haley points to her sister, then herself. "Here's the bad news. Both versions of us are evil."
Chapter 69. Donnie. Donnie doesn't recall the last time he's been this angry, when his blood has been so hot that he wanted to punch something, someone, in this case, Nico Attikai. The betrayal nearly demolishes him. Nico and Benny were friends. They all looked out for one another. They loved one another. How could he? And blackmail? Nico would be risking himself if he ever told what they all did on that rainy night. He's going to drive back to the hotel to kick the shit out of Nico, then get the hell out of Pennsylvania. But after the half-dozen drinks, he can't get behind the wheel, something he damn well should have thought about before stopping at a bar named Drink. He needs to think more, grow up, stop acting like some stupid kid who can drink himself into a stupor and sleep it off in the car. Agent Rodriguez rattled him. The FBI man knows there's a skeleton with a bullet hole in the skull, knows that someone, Nico, was blackmailing Ben with those photos. You don't have to be frickin' Sherlock Holmes to figure out what happened 25 years ago on that knoll. The agent's so close. Why would Nico do such a thing? Donnie doesn't know, or care. He thinks about the blackmail message, saying that Nico had DNA from the teeth. Mr. Brood did bite Artemis in the struggle. Is that possible? Extracting DNA from teeth buried for a quarter century? The message also said that the blackmailer had the gun. That doesn't make sense. Ben hid the gun near the tree fort in Donnie's secret spot. Holy shit. Donnie remembers the day. It was after they went to find his mom, before they caught the bus to Philly, that Ben hid the .22 in his spot in the woods. Benny knew about the place because it's where Donnie hid his booze and anything else he didn't want Mr. Brood to find or Derek and his goons to steal. The first time Donnie showed the secret spot to his friend, Benny said, "That's some Boo Radley shit." Donnie had no idea what Ben was referencing, which wasn't all that unusual, and it's probably why he didn't remember it until now. Donnie's wrenched from the thought by a woman's voice. Are you Donnie Danger? The barfly is standing at his table now. That's me, darling. Even now, he carts out rock star Donnie. He's so pathetic. Can I buy you a drink? She bats her bloodshot eyes. Sure, beautiful. She sits, asks for a selfie with him, and he obliges. After, he says, Can I ask you a favor? Of course. You have Uber? He asks. Pardon? You got a ride app on that thing? He gestures to her phone. Yeah? Tell you what, you get me a car and I'll give you cash for the fare and get you backstage passes next time we play in Pennsylvania. Can I come with you wherever you're going? I'm sorry, beautiful, but you don't want to go where I'm going.
Chapter 70. Jenna. Jenna and Nico have been inside the ramshackle property across the street from Xavier House for nearly 3 hours, and the smell is starting to get to her. The sun is coming down, and the entire neighborhood has an eerie end-of-the-world feel. She studies Nico. He's predictably grown into a handsome man, with broad shoulders and chiseled features, the archetype of modern beauty standards. But she can't help seeing the boy he was, the sadness in his eyes, which she finally understands. He notices that she's gazing at him. Can I ask you a question? He says, then looks back outside through a crack in the boarded window. Sure. Do you think there's any chance she's still alive? Jenna looks at him and knows he means Annie. His features are those of a teenager again, a love-struck, heartbroken kid, abandoned a third time in his life, first by his mother, then by his father, then by Annie. Jenna suspects there's been more abandonment in his life since then. I honestly don't know. If the others weren't taken by the people who took you, then where could they be? Jenna doesn't answer. If Mr. Brood was willing to hand Jenna over to the corporation, then he probably was willing to let others go with even more questionable caretakers. Could the corporation have recruited Annie or the others at Xavier House who disappeared? And if so, where are those girls now? Living normal suburban lives like Jenna? The most likely answer, as much as it roils her insides, is that they were sold into the sex trade, and the lifespan for trafficked victims isn't long. Her thoughts are interrupted by the buzz of her burner phone. Hey, she says. Hey, Simon says back. She's glad to hear his voice again, to talk before she and Nico go into the house of horrors across the street. I got the information you needed. That was fast. I've taught the girls to play poker, read Congress's 1,000-page new tax bill, watch 7 episodes of Backyardigans with Lulu, and witnessed Willow mope around about not seeing a kid named Billy, so your research project was the best thing that's happened all day. Jenna feels a fissure in her heart. Simon continues. Robot LLC. The company's name written on the folded star at the library. It's a shell corporation, part of a web of related entities. It may be impossible even for me to ever find the source. But I did find something. What's that? It's a single-purpose company, meaning it was created for only one purpose. And what was that? To buy a parcel of property. Jenna hears Lulu's voice in the background, asking him something. Can I talk to her? She says. Never mind. I'll see her tomorrow. Jenna's superstitions are kicking in. Simon continues. The buyer was the corporation itself, but it does list the seller. His name is Park Jones. Jenna doesn't recognize the name. Never heard of him. I ran a search. The guy's dead, but was a major creep. He used to work in big tech in the early years, was a pioneer, but he also had a thing for underage girls. The worst kind of monster. I'm sending you an article about his conviction. He apparently was fired, moved back to live with his parents, and inherited their house. It's an unusual transaction for a shell company, buying a low-value home in a blighted community. Jenna's heart trips as she opens the newspaper story on the phone and recognizes the man's face instantly. The man they called Ned Flanders. Let me guess. The house he sold is in Chestertown, on Carver Street. Yes, how'd you know? Jenna's interrupted by Nico. He's here, Nico whispers, staring through the crack in the board. Jenna peers out and watches as the car pulls to the curb in front of Savior House. Derek Brood gets out of the sedan and looks around. He seems nervous, but that could simply be standing on this block after dark. I've got to go, she says to Simon. But I need to say something. He waits. You're the love of my life, she says, powering down the phone without waiting for his reply. They watch as Brood goes to the front door, which is plastered with no trespassing signs. There's a ring camera mounted above the door, but it appears to be covered with spray paint. Brood fumbles with some keys and unlocks a padlock and multiple deadbolts. He opens the door and stands in the entryway before going in, like he's listening. He may be concerned about squatters, meth cookers, or vagrants, or the other dangerous inhabitants of abandoned homes on this side of Chestertown. An interior light goes on as he steps inside and shuts the door behind him. Why the hell did Artie ask him to meet here? Nico asks. Because it's secluded, I guess. He said Brood still owns the property. Is Artie really gonna come? Jenna shrugs. She's realizing how little she knows, and it's making her nervous. And Nico's question is a good one. Will Artie dare make an appearance? He was reluctant to show his face at the funeral for Ben, and he's kept material details about Savior House from his own security team. Would he come on his own without his body men and protection? If Jenna were on his detail, she'd advise against it. But even as a kid, Artie didn't follow conventional thinking. The thought is answered when a black town car pulls to the curb. A tall man in a black suit gets out of the driver's side and opens a back passenger door. Jenna can't see on the other side of the vehicle. She can hear voices, but not what's being said. The driver comes back around the vehicle, his gait reluctant, shaking his head. The town car pulls away, leaving Artemis Templeton, who walks inside Savior House. Unlike Derek Brood, he isn't timid about it. He opens the door like he owns the place and strides in. What now? Should we go in? Nico says. Jenna shakes her head. Now? We wait. For what? Jenna's eyes fix on the figure appearing from nowhere in front of Savior House. Every time Jenna sees the woman, bolts of rage flow to her extremities. For her. Chapter 71. The pretty hit woman strolls into Savior House almost as casually as Artie did a few minutes before. She's not carrying a gun or the bizarre weapon. And she's not dressed in tactical gear, but a blouse and slacks. Business casual attire. Cool as a cucumber. Jenna encountered some eccentrics in her time with the corporation, but this woman is by far the most unique. She and Nico watch as the woman disappears inside Savior House. Jenna feels for the pistol in her pocket. You okay with the gun? She asks Nico. He reluctantly took the handgun Jenna pulled out of her ex, Michael's, bag of goodies. She's still digesting what Simon told her about Ned Flanders, real name Park Jones, the man who used to live down the street, the man who owned the stretch of land where they took Mr. Brood, the scientifically minded man who'd mentored young Artemis. I've only fired a gun once in my life, Nico says. They both pause, silently acknowledging the long-ago event. Just stay near me, Jenna says. They walk quickly and quietly to Savior House, and the front door creaks open, but not loudly. There are voices coming from what used to be the dining room. Jenna points to the hallway that leads to the kitchen, which provides another entry into the dining room. Nico nods. He remembers too. They sidle down the hallway, through the kitchen, and stop out of sight. Listen. A panicked voice says, "Susan, my God, what in the hell are you doing?" That's Derek Brood's voice, and it sounds like his father's. "Sit," the woman's voice says. Jenna isn't clear what's going on. "We can talk about this," Brood says. "Put the gun down." Jenna stealthily makes it to the entryway, peers inside. Derek Brood, walking slowly, hands in the air, takes a chair, the only piece of furniture in the room, in the center of the dining hall. The hit woman has her back to Jenna and hasn't seen her yet. Jenna's breath is taken away when she realizes that the woman, who's a foot taller than Artie, stands behind him and has her forearm around Artie's neck, a gun to his temple. Jenna steps quietly behind the woman and puts the handgun to the back of her head. The woman stiffens. "Slowly," Jenna warns, as the woman lowers the gun from Artemis's head, and Jenna gestures for Nico to grab it. He scurries over and takes the gun gingerly, like he's picking up a spider. The woman releases her grip on Artemis's neck, and he pushes away from her. "What the hell is going on?" Derek Brood says, standing again. "Susan said she was your real estate rep," he tells Artie. "That you wanted to buy Savior House and rejuvenate the entire area. What the—" "I can explain," Artemis says. "Please, sit." Jenna's mind is reeling. Derek Brood seems sincerely mystified by the turn of events. Jenna and Nico lock eyes. Her old friend looks equally confused. Jenna still holds the muzzle of the pistol to the hit woman's head. Artemis looks at them both, like he's pondering what to do as the ones and zeros come together in that computer of a brain. "We all need to talk this out," Artie says. He looks at Jenna. "You can let her go." "I'm not letting anyone go until you tell me what the hell is going on." Artemis offers a disappointed look. He moves toward her. Jenna moves the gun from the woman to Artie's center mass. "Don't fucking move!" Finally, she understands. It wasn't Brood who hired the hit woman. It was Artemis. That's when Jenna feels the blow to the back of her head and she hits the floor.
Chapter 72. Donnie. The Uber pulls up to the area where the street ends and woods begin. The driver says, "Here?" "Yeah, this is great," Donnie says, still feeling the booze. It's getting dark, a few minutes past 7. He wonders if Jenna and Nico went through with the meeting at Savior House. Donnie gets out of the car and heads into the thick vines and weeds and trees. It's been so long since he's been to this patch of gloom, but there's an immediate familiarity. He stumbles on some bushes. He needs to get himself straight. He smacks himself in the face, which works sometimes, and continues navigating through the branches and scrub. Could the gun still be here after all these years? Is that why Benny was back in Chestertown? To see if the blackmailer was bluffing? Lying that he had evidence of what they had done? And did Benny hide something else in the spot? It has to be what he meant by Boo Radley. Donnie spies the tree, the one Nico carved with the N+A. Nico was such a sap back then. Now he's a Benedict Arnold who deserves an ass-kicking. 2 trees down, Donnie sees the familiar base of the giant maple tree. He gazes up and is taken momentarily back to hot summers with the Gross Club. Get rid of slimy girls. A name he'd stolen from Calvin and Hobbes. He didn't think girls were slimy. He quite liked them, even at 14, but the tree fort was inspired by the comics, so it was fitting. He travels past the tree fort and 4 trees to the right, and there it is, the knothole about 3 feet from the ground in the old tree. The Boo Radley hole. Donnie swallows, his mouth dry. A headache is creeping at the back of his skull. He thrusts his hand inside. He feels the metal and retrieves the small handgun he and Benny secreted there more than 2 decades before. For a moment, he's back on the knoll. Artie is peering into the shallow grave like he's going to do it, but only stands there, arm extended, the light rain beating his face. Jenna takes the gun from him, says, "We agreed, we all have to." Then there's the sickly bang of the gun. Jenna hands the firearm down the line. Ben takes his shot, then Nico, then Artie, who thrusts the weapon into Donnie's hands. Donnie stands frozen until Benny laces his finger over Donnie's and squeezes the trigger. His mind snaps back to the woods around him. He feels lightheaded. He tucks the old .22 in his waistband and sticks his hand back inside the knothole. He feels the glass of a bottle and tugs it out of the hole. He examines a half-empty pint of peppermint schnapps and shudders. You never forget throwing up that stuff. He thrusts his hand back in the hole and feels around. Ben was in Chestertown when he was killed, when he called the law clerk. He wanted Donnie to come to this hiding place for a reason. Donnie's fingers land on a thin slab of metal and plastic, and he pulls out the phone. It has a gold chain tangled around it. Donnie looks around, worried that the FBI agent or someone is going to jump out from behind a tree, but there's no one out here but Donnie and the insects bouncing off his skin. He untangles the chain from the device, powers it on. The FBI must not have been able to track Ben's device because it was off or because of no signal in the woods. When the screen pops on, it asks for a password. Donnie tries Belle's name, then Mia's. He thinks on this more, then tries Calvin. The phone flashes to a screen. The camera app. A video shows up as the most recent image. Donnie takes a deep breath before playing the video, and that's when he notices that the gold chain has a decorative name engraved into it. Annie.
Chapter 73. Jenna. Jenna comes to on the dining room floor of Savior House. She must be seeing double, because there's two of the hit woman now. One standing over Derek Brood, the other crouching low, looking Jenna in the eye with the hint of a smile. Nico's sitting on the floor, back to the wall, his hands behind him. He looks despondent, defeated. Artemis walks up to Brood, whose face is covered in blood. "I'll ask you again. Where are the bones?" Derek looks at his lap. "I told you, I have no idea what you're—" He's cut off by his own deafening scream, as the hit woman's weapon makes a whoosh, and there's the sound of cracking bone as she removes it from Derek's thigh. "You know what, Derek?" Artemis crouches in front of their old nemesis, who appears to be losing consciousness. "I think I believe you." Derek's chest is shuddering. He's blubbering now. "You know what else?" Derek dares to look up into Artemis's eyes. As she watches, Jenna is trying to clear her head, to formulate an escape plan. Artie raises his voice. "I said, do you know what else, Derek?" Derek shakes his head timidly. "Your father was a buffoon, which is the only reason he got stuck babysitting a bunch of kids. Your uncle was probably relieved when he disappeared, except that he was stuck raising another buffoon." Artie stands straight. "But at least your dad wasn't a bully." "Please," Derek moans as the hit woman raises the tube weapon. "No compute, no compute," Artie says in a mechanical voice. "That's how robots talk, right? I was just a kid, and so was I." Artemis says it again. "Where are the bones?" "I don't know." Artemis looks at the hit woman, nods. The other woman, she must be the hit woman's identical twin, has eyes on Jenna, watching for any sudden moves. Again, in a robot voice, Artemis says, "Terminate." The hit woman puts the cylinder weapon to Derek's temple, and whoosh, Derek slouches lifeless in the chair. As the woman pushes Derek onto the floor, Artemis's gaze goes from Jenna to Nico. "Which one of you is next?" He touches his chin. "Bring her to the chair." One of the ghastly twins drags Jenna off the floor and onto the chair. Jenna's head is still pounding. She's concussed. But the adrenaline has heightened her senses, her fear, as the hitwoman jams the tube weapon at the center of her chest.
Chapter 74. Donnie. Still in the woods, Donnie watches the video on Benny's phone. It has a night vision filter that casts everything in a green tint, but it's surprisingly clear. Ben filmed a figure on the same knoll where the 5 of them had put Mr. Brood in the ground. A woman's voice rises above the chirp of crickets through the tinny speaker. "This is not what we signed up for," she says. It's dark, and the white coveralls she's wearing are covered in dirt. She holds a phone in one hand, talking to someone on speaker mode. With the other hand, she scoops up a pile of what look like rags, but when the camera zooms in, they appear to be decaying clothes containing human bones. "Quit whining," the voice through the phone says. Fuck off. I've been doing all the dirty work while you get a tan," the woman says. "There's like so many remains here. The clothes look like they were teenagers." "Not our concern," the voice on the phone says. "Spoken like a woman sipping a margarita poolside on a cruise while I'm digging up human remains." The video jostles as Ben moves closer. His movement stops as the camera focuses in on the wheelbarrow. As the image resolves, Donnie sees that it does not hold kindling. The wheelbarrow's filled with bones, including at least 3 skulls. A black hand appears in the video. Benny seems to be taking something from among the remains, something delicate, shiny. The hand freezes when the woman calls out. "Who's there?" Her voice has the lilt of concern. The video turns black but is still on as it jostles up and down, the sound of footfalls, heavy breathing. Benny's running. The camera goes black. When it turns back on, Ben is looking into the screen. He appears to have his back pressed against a tree. Into the camera, he whispers, "Donnie, if my law clerk got you my message and you found this, it means something's happened to me. Contact Agent Rodriguez with the FBI, the Philadelphia field office. Tell him to look into Park Jones. I think Jones took Annie and the others." Ben's quiet for a moment, like he's listening for someone coming. "Artie lied to all of us. Take care of Mia and Belle. Take care of yourself. You'll always be my brother from another mother." A voice chimes in from the background. "I see you," it says in a sing-song tone. "You can come out. Don't worry. I won't hurt you." It was a ghoulish lie. Donnie holds back a sob as the screen goes black.
Chapter 75. Jenna. "Where are Mr. Brood's bones?" Artemis says. Jenna's heart trips as one of the twins moves the weapon from Jenna's chest to her neck. If the device shoots the steel bolt into her carotid artery, she'll die within seconds. The other twin simply watches, no longer holding her gun on Nico, like he isn't a threat. "I have no idea what you're talking about, Artemis," Jenna says. She tries to keep her voice flat, unemotional. "I believe you." "Like you believed him?" Jenna looks at Derek Brood's body, now a mound on the filthy dining room floor. Artemis doesn't reply. Jenna's mind jumps to the boy pulling the wagon full of computer equipment down the sidewalk. The boy bullied in the school's lunchroom, who would later become one of the world's richest men, an innovator, a man before his time. With her life seemingly over now, Jenna is struck by the fact that this house where she will die instilled something in each of them that helped them reach their full potential. Artemis looks at Jenna, his expression blank like always. "I believe you because you don't need the money," Artemis says. "And because you didn't take the shot," Jenna says. "I have no clue what you're—" "Who do you think coerced you into taking the hit on the bald man at the restaurant?" Jenna understands now. Artemis set up a fake assassination, both to divert any suspicion away from him and to draw Jenna out into the open. I was worried that with all your training, you'd see that the bullets were blanks, that you'd realize the glare from the other scope was too obvious, that you'd realize the hit was designed to draw you out. I guess you're rusty. Jenna gives Artemis a lazy glance. Honestly, she says, if you wanted to take me out, you could have done better than hiring these half-wits. She takes a sideways glance at the woman holding the weapon to her neck, then at the other twin. The woman with the weapon at Jenna's neck tenses, like she's going to pull the trigger. Artemis looks at the twin holding the cylinder weapon, shakes his head with a firm no. Jenna barely flinches. So let me guess. The bones. Someone dug them up from where we left him and didn't blackmail only Ben but you as well? Artemis shrugs. And what? You decided it had to be one of us? And you decide to take us all out? It was the most logical solution. For such a smart guy, it's pretty fucking stupid. On reflection, maybe you're right. But 20/20 hindsight. Artemis nods to the woman, who places the weapon at Jenna's temple. Jenna has the sudden sense that this is where it will end for her. She swallows a sob, realizing that she'll never see Simon or Willow or Lulu again. Realizing she'll never get to eat those pancakes. Never get to help Willow through the pain of losing her mom. Never get to watch Lulu wave goodbye from the school bus. She needs to fight. For them. Where are the bones? Artemis asks her again. Jenna is about to leap from the chair, risk the bolt penetrating into her skull. But then a voice breaks the brief silence. Stop! Nico bellows. I'll take you to them. Please just stop.
Chapter 76. Nico. Artemis stares at Nico. I should have known that the simplest explanation was the correct one. The degenerate gambler needed money and blackmailed me. He looks at Jenna, who's still on the chair with the tube weapon, the hydraulic bolt gun that had pierced Nico's shoulder in the mine, pressed to Jenna's head. Jenna's gaze, which Nico can only describe as part heartbreak, part betrayal, turns to Nico. Shame envelops him. Artemis nods at the woman with the weapon, who presses it hard into Jenna's head. Where are the bones, Nico? Artemis says. I swear I will put a bolt through her brain if you don't tell me in the next 3 seconds. The hit woman looks amped, the anticipation, the glee vibrating from her. When Nico doesn't answer, Artemis turns to the twin. Jenna closes her eyes. All right, stop, Nico yells. I'll take you to the site, but you have to promise to let her go. This is on me, and so we're clear. I was never going to tell anyone. How brave of you, Nico, Artemis says. It only took 25 years. Nico feels like the miserable person he is. Promise me. Artemis smiles again, but Jenna looks disappointed, as if suddenly understanding there's no promise Artemis will keep. Artemis gestures at the other twin to help Nico to his feet. Without releasing the zip ties, she hoists him up. She comes too, or I swear I won't take you there, Nico tells Artemis. And if I don't call someone by midnight, there's an automatic email that will go out to the FBI that tells them everything. Artemis appears skeptical of that. And rightly so. There is no email, and if Nico dies, everything will likely remain hidden forever. I can take you there right now, but you have to promise. Scout's honor, Artemis says dryly. With that, he gestures to the door, and the twins march Nico and Jenna out of the house.
Chapter 77. Jenna. Nico leads the way through the back alley, around the park and down a dirt path to a meadow behind a dilapidated house. Artemis stops, stares at the house where the man they all called Ned Flanders lived, the man who recognized Artie's brilliance and mentored him. the closest thing Artie had to a father figure, and ultimately, a relationship that fostered the technology that supported the then newly emerging social media sites. Technology that made Artemis a rich man by his mid-20s. The pixels are now coming together for Jenna. Ben Wood was being blackmailed, and it prompted him to revisit the events of that night, and he uncovered something none of them had known at the time. Ned Flanders' real name was Park Jones. He was a child molester who'd befriended a boy who had easy access to young girls. She thinks of Ben's handwritten note at the library. Brood, Robot, LLC, Fagin Jones. Ben loved to read. He'd referenced Boo Radley, and Fagin is an infamous character from a Dickens novel, a despicable man who used children to commit his crimes. Flanders used Artemis to lure girls. And Artemis must have agreed, since he needed Park Jones. So Marta, Annie, the others. It's so awful Jenna can't finish the thought. But the theory is confirmed when she sees the holes dotting the knoll. The final resting place of the missing girls, no doubt. Artie created a shell company to buy the property to ensure no one ever discovered the bodies, the crimes he had been party to. But when Nico blackmailed him with photos of Mr. Brood's bones, Artie needed to remove all the remains on the property and destroy all possible evidence linking him to the murders. Something she can only describe as blind rage is consuming Jenna now. Nico leads the group not to one of the holes, but instead to a mound of freshly tilled soil, the spot from all those years ago. Nico looks down at the dirt. "Here," he says. "Here." Artemis lets out a wooden laugh. "You dug up Mr. Brood and what? Then brought him back to the original gravesite and reburied him?" One of the twins walks to a shed near the house and returns with a shovel. She jabs it into the dirt so it stands upright. The other twin removes Nico's zip ties. Artemis gestures to the shovel. "Get to it, then." The other twin still has the tube weapon pressed against Jenna's spine. She watches, shaking her head, knowing that Nico is not only retrieving the bones Artemis is after, but also digging his own grave. The woman whispers in Jenna's ear, "I'm going to enjoy burying you alive." Jenna feels a rivulet of sweat drip down her side. Her mind is racing, teasing out how she can attack without that bolt driving through her vertebrae, without Nico being torn to shreds by the other hitwoman's gun. Artemis looks out at the other holes. A field of weeds now pockmarked by tilled soil, bordered on one side by Flanders' ramshackle house through the brush, bleak woodland on the other side. "You should have filled in those holes," he says to the hitwoman with Jenna. "We kinda got tied up with the judge and didn't think returning was a good idea," she says like a snarky teenager. "Don't worry. No one will ever find what was left of the others." "Still," Artemis says, but drops it. Nico continues to dig as Jenna plays out different scenarios. She could lunge forward, charge at Artie, and the twin with the gun might not shoot for fear of catching him in the crossfire. No, she thinks these chicks wouldn't care if they did. Frankly, she wonders if Artie is going to make it out alive. Alternatively, she could do a backward headbutt, crush the other hitwoman's nose, and dart away. But the woman would likely instinctively set off the weapon, which would send Jenna to the ground with a severed spinal cord. And that would surely result in her being buried alive, as promised. If she can catch Nico's glance, he could swing the shovel, hit the one sister, and Jenna could get away, race into the woods, be done with the lot of them. But again, the weapon digging into her back presents an inescapable peril. Then, she spies something that may give her a way out. A man with scraggly hair hiding behind one of the trees.
Chapter 78. Donnie. The air is ripped from Donnie's lungs when he sees them, the two identical women. He now understands how Ben was killed while Donnie was attacked on the ship. It wasn't the same killer. There are two of them, and they're marching Jenna and Nico out of Savior House and down the street. He sees Artie as well, but no Derek Brood. It was reckless to come back, but he couldn't let Jenna or even Nico walk into a trap with Artie, the person who betrayed them all. And though his heart feels like it will explode out of his chest, his mind filled with doubts that he can save them, he owes it to Benny to try. He follows in the shadows as they go to a house he remembers from when they were kids, their neighbor's place. What was it that they called the owner? Some character from The Simpsons? His house bordered the woods and had an expansive meadow in the back that led into the bramble where their beloved tree fort hung in the canopy. Donnie follows at a safe distance as the group moves to the back of the house. When he catches up, he takes in a breath, but just as quickly loses it when he sees the holes in the field. He'd glimpsed the hidden graveyard in Benny's video, but it's even more chilling live. Who killed them? Mr. Brood? Donnie now doubts that. It was a fiction created by Artemis to make them think Brood was selling the girls to a mysterious woman for sex slavery or whatever. But they'd been only 2 blocks away the whole time, buried less than 6 feet under. Was Artemis the killer? It didn't make sense. He'd never shown interest in girls, in anyone, sexually, for that matter. It was one of the reasons they called him the robot. So, who? Right now it doesn't matter. He has the gun from the Boo Radley hole. Ben led him there, and now he's going to stop the people who killed his best friend. He ducks low in the shadows. He sees Jenna. Her eyes are darting around. He can almost see the calculations going on in her head, figuring out how she'll break free. He can't let the others spot him. But if he can show himself just enough to catch her eye... He sees Artemis directing Nico, who's pulling a duffel bag out of a freshly dug hole. Donnie stares at Jenna and she locks eyes with him. All attention is on the duffel as Artemis unzips the top and peers inside. This is their chance. Jenna nods at Donnie, who fires the gun in the air and charges the knoll.
Chapter 79. Jenna. The gunshot echoes in the night. The next seconds are a whirlwind. Jenna simultaneously arches her back and thrusts her head into a reverse headbutt. Her skull connects hard, and she hears the crunch of cartilage at the same time as the deadly whoosh of the cattle gun. The steel rod connects with her back, but she's managed to put enough distance from the device that it sends a shockwave of pain through her without piercing flesh or bone. At the same time, Nico swings the shovel, connecting with the other twin, who fires off a shot that doesn't seem to hit anyone. Nico scrambles out of the hole and onto the twin who's still got the gun. She's bleeding from the head, stunned, and he claws at her hand for the pistol, prying it loose. For his part, Donnie is pointing the gun at Artemis, whose hands are raised. Back to the other twin, her nose gushing. She's staggering toward Jenna with the tube weapon. Nico shouts, "Drop it!" and fires in her direction. She stops, catches her sister's gaze, then drops the strange weapon. Nico and Donnie corral the twins and Artemis next to the hole where Mr. Brood was buried. Jenna tells them to shoot if anyone so much as moves an inch. She makes her way over to the shovel, crouches low, and saws the zip ties on her wrists off on its sharp blade. The plastic cuffs pop off. She walks over to Donnie and gently takes the gun from his hand. "This isn't about Mr. Brood," Donnie tells her, his breath coming in rasps. "It's about Annie and the others." "We know, Donnie."
Chapter 80. Donnie. After Donnie tells them about Ben's video, about the skeletal remains, about Ben taking Annie's necklace from one of the bodies, Nico steps toward Artemis and puts the gun to his head. Artemis stands there, unemotional, not even bracing himself for the headshot. Donnie watches as Nico's face reddens as he tightens his hand on the pistol, but he pulls away. Donnie looks at Jenna, asking with his eyes, "What are we going to do?" They can't go to the police, Donnie knows. They can't execute them, but they can't just let them go. From the woods, a figure emerges. "Oh shit," Donnie says. Jenna already has her gun on the man. Hold up," Donnie says, both to stop any of them from any sudden moves and to prevent Reeves Rothschild from seeing what's happening. "Hemingway, what are you?" "I was curious why you stayed, so I followed you." "What's going on?" "It's not what it looks like. Those two," he points to the twins. "They killed Benny, tried to kill all of us." Reeves is processing the new information. He looks to Artemis, perhaps recognizing the famous tech billionaire. Donnie turns and glances at Jenna, at Nico, for guidance. Then he feels the cold muzzle of a gun pressed to his head. "I'm sorry about this, Donnie. I really am," Reeves says.
Chapter 81. Jenna. The man holding the gun to Donnie's head is vaguely familiar, but Jenna has no idea who he is. He demands that Jenna and Nico drop their weapons, but they don't oblige. The stranger has a gun at Donnie's head, but something in his tone suggests he won't use it.
"This isn't what we agreed to," the man tells Artemis. "I was supposed to find out what he knew, not—"
He looks around. Artemis shrugs.
"You're in it now. And if you want your wife to get the treatment, then—"
The man looks desperate. His eyes dart to Jenna, Nico, Artemis, the twins.
"I'm sorry, Donnie, but she's dying. He can get her the DNA treatment in Europe."
Donnie doesn't say anything, seeming strangely at peace with the fact that this man has betrayed him. The stranger pulls himself together.
"All of you, drop your guns or I'm gonna do it."
He makes a show of pressing the gun to Donnie's head.
"I don't want to, but I will."
Nico throws down his gun. A chill goes through Jenna. One less gun on their side. Artemis stares at her, a look of faint amusement on his face. Jenna sees no way out. She knows that if she drops the weapon, they're all dead. The man says he'll shoot Donnie, but will he? He doesn't seem to have that in him, though it sounds like he's doing this to save someone. His wife? It's then that Jenna believes that he might pull the trigger. We're all capable of the unthinkable when it means protecting our families. She feels a tremor in her hands, fear seizing her. But she needs to fight for her family too. She looks over at the twins, who are glowering at her. The one with the red face and bloody nose will bury her alive. The one with the gash on her head from Nico's shovel may well do worse. Jenna thinks back to Michael's warning. They aren't doing jobs for the money or ideology or the usual reasons. They're doing it for the sport. Jenna moves her gun in Artemis's direction. He's staring at her in that unemotional way of his. She allows the muzzle to drift toward the hesitant newcomer. The man fidgets, takes a half step back, his gun still on Donnie.
"I'm telling you, I will shoot,"
he says softly, with a lingering resignation in his voice Jenna cannot deny.
"I have nothing to lose, nothing left if my wife dies."
Nodding, Jenna lowers her weapon. Then she pivots, twirls around like a discus thrower, and in one swift movement hurls the handgun as far as she can. All eyes follow the arch of the gun as it sails high into the woodland that separates the knoll from Ned Flanders' backyard. With everyone looking in the direction of the flying weapon, Jenna dashes off in the opposite direction, deep into the woods. There's a pause, then several pops. One of the twins, no doubt. But the shots miss. Jenna's already too far away and through the tree line. Jenna continues to run, not knowing what she's going to do, but knowing she must do something because the twins will be coming for her.
Chapter 82. Donnie. "How could you, man?" Donnie says to Reeves. The writer has a gun pointed in the direction of both Donnie and Nico, who stand near the edge of one of the unturned graves in the knoll. "I thought we were—" He wants to say friends, but they barely know each other. The whole book thing was a setup, he realizes, funded by Artemis. The twins have darted into the woods after Jenna, and Artemis paces near another one of the holes as if contemplating his next steps. "Was there ever a book?" Donnie asks. Reeves shakes his head at the question. Are you even a writer? Donnie asks. Reeves is watching Artemis pace, answers without looking at Donnie. Nico stands quietly, as if lost in thought. What I told you about me is true. I had a novel that critics loved, but no one bought. I took a gig ghostwriting a business book for Artemis Templeton. Then my wife got sick. I asked for his help. He said he could pull some strings. Donnie remembers the photo of the woman in the hospital room on Reeves's phone and his laptop. I told you things about me, man, Donnie says. Reeves looks at him, his eyes steely now. But you didn't tell me everything. Did you? Donnie exhales. So what, you're gonna let them kill us? Let them get away with killing Benny? Do you know what was in these holes? Donnie gestures across the knoll. Before Reeves answers, Artemis comes over. Donnie's heart sinks when Artemis takes the gun from Reeves. He thought they might have a chance with Reeves, but Artemis is another matter. Artemis looks at Reeves. I'm sorry it ended this way, he says. And just so you know, your wife never had a chance, even with the treatment. Reeves opens his mouth to speak when there's a loud bang. Reeves's face is distorted in shock and disbelief as Artemis pushes him into the hole. Donnie's screaming now. You ain't getting away with this, man. The FBI agent, he's onto you. He knows about those psycho chicks and about Benny and about all of it. You mean the FBI agent in that hole over there? Artemis directs his chin to the far end of the knoll. One of those chicks found out everything he knows and took his files. You're lucky she won't be extracting your secrets. Terror vibrates through every part of Donnie. Mr. Danger. Mr. Atakai. I'm afraid it's the end of the line. Get in the hole. Artemis looks down at the grave. Go without trouble and I'll make it quick. If not... Well, this is it, Donnie thinks. They say your life flashes before your eyes when you experience a near-death experience, but all that Donnie can see is Benny. A montage of him reciting Johnny Cochran closing arguments, lounging in the tree fort with his nose in a book, riding that bus to Philly. Donnie's about to jump into the hole when he hears a roar. In a blur, Donnie sees Nico charging Artemis and both men fly into the grave. Donnie is shell-shocked, but he makes out the words. Nico's voice. Run, Donnie!
Chapter 83. Jenna. Jenna races through the woods, making sure to leave an obvious trail of trampled brush and snapped branches along the way. As part of her time with Sabine, she underwent survival training. They dropped her in a remote wilderness area, in a dangerous neighborhood, in a war zone, and forced her to fend for herself. Each time she emerged bloodied but stronger. Unseen insects flick against her face. Her muscles are sore, wrists raw. There's a bump on the back of her head from one of those awful twins. They called each other Casey and Haley. She thinks Casey is the one with the tube weapon, which means she's the one who'd threatened Jenna's family. The other twin, Haley, is the one in business attire, the one who'd masqueraded as Artemis's real estate manager and lured Derek Brood to the house. She hears movement behind her, not far now, and drops to her belly behind a fallen tree. She inches into some shrubbery growing up against the dead tree. Against the soundtrack of her heartbeat, she hears voices. I say we kill him too. Who? That bald asshole. He killed young girls. The world will be a better place. I don't think he killed them. You weren't there. I dug up those bodies. He said it wasn't him. Said it was the neighbor. The judge said the same thing, at least when he wasn't screaming. The women go silent as their footfalls grow closer. I'll think about it, but killing him will bring a lot of heat. No more heat than killing a federal judge. When did you get so timid? Whatever, but he's only paid us half, and we could use the rest. They stop in front of the fallen tree, mere feet from Jenna on the other side. Jenna holds her breath. It took them less time to find her than anticipated. But that's okay. Jenna's thoughts go to Willow's terrified face in the Jeep as they hid from one of these dreadful women. Both will pay for that. The voices grow even closer. Jenna will have only one chance. She steadies her breathing and rises quietly to her feet, crouching low. When I find that bitch, I'm gonna... The words are stolen from the woman's throat as Jenna springs up from behind the downed tree, her arms extended like a T, and hits both twins in their throats with knife hand strikes. The twins reach for their necks and double over in unison, like some twisted TikTok video. Their barking coughs as Jenna knees the one on the right, Haley, in the face, taking her to the ground. That should hold her for the moment. Jenna knows her right-handed strike was the strongest, but in unison neither is the crippling blow a single thrust would have been, which means she needs to move. It's Casey that Jenna is most worried about, the one Jenna struck with her weaker hand. As she turns to look, Casey is coming at her, brandishing the cattle gun like a fencer with a rapier, the device whooshing, the steel rod retracting and firing, sliding in and punching out. As the tube gun comes back around, Jenna takes a swipe at it with her arm, pushing it aside, then leaps forward and goes for the eyes, presses her thumbs into the sockets. Casey screams, dropping the cattle gun and clawing blindly at Jenna's hands and arms. Out of the corner of her eye, Jenna sees the other twin groping for something in the folds of her jacket. Jenna digs her thumbs deeper into Casey's eyes, then grabs her head and slams it into the closest tree. Casey staggers sideways and falls, moaning, both hands cupping her eyes. Haley has pulled a gun from the jacket and is getting to her feet. As the weapon and woman come up, Jenna charges, running back style, and they tumble into the undergrowth. Jenna grapples for the gun with one hand, repeatedly slamming her free elbow into the woman's face until she goes still, the weapon falling into the dead leaves. Jenna hears movement behind her. These fucking twins! It's almost as if they feed on the violence, live for it. Casey has abandoned her cattle weapon and drawn her own gun. One eye is swollen shut. Blood trickles from the other. Squinting, she aims her weapon at Jenna, but it's wobbly. "Shoot her, Casey!" her sister shouts. "Shoot her!" Jenna dives right as the gun fires. She looks at her own torso. She isn't hit. "No!" Casey cries. Jenna takes a quick glance back and sees a large red stain blossoming on the blouse of Haley's once immaculate business getup. Casey accidentally shot her twin. Without wasting another second, Jenna scoops up Haley's gun from the leaves and takes the shot, hitting Casey in the forearm, which spins her around. Jenna races over and pistol whips Casey. She collapses to the ground again. Jenna knows she should take care of both of them. Finish this. But that's not the person she wants to be anymore. As she works through the options, despite being shot, Haley is miraculously on her feet, her blouse soaked in blood. She's found her sister's cattle gun and wields it with a renewed vigor. She stabs it at Jenna, who dodges around the deadly bolt. Jenna raises her pistol, but the cattle gun swings back the other way and knocks the gun loose. Jenna dodges a third pass and is about to charge when she is grabbed from behind and her arms pinned to her sides. Casey grips Jenna as she bucks and kicks, trying to free herself. "Put this bitch out of our misery," Casey says to her sister. "Finish her." Brandishing the cattle gun, Haley grins. Jenna is reined in once more. The tube gun is rising, stopping at Jenna's abdomen, then rising again, to Jenna's solar plexus, her chest, her chin. The rest seems to unfold in slow motion. Still pinned from behind, Jenna shifts her head to the side, twists her body down and around, thrusting her hip back. At the same time, she plants her leg just beyond Casey's foot and pulls forward. The twin falls forward onto Jenna, who twists more until Casey's head comes front and center and directly into the barrel's sight as Haley pulls the trigger. Jenna hears the distinct hydraulic whoosh and crack of the steel bolt striking home. The arms holding her fall away, and Casey drops to the ground. A large red dot marks her forehead, blood trickling out. She turns back to Haley, who's in shock at killing her own sister. Jenna aims a kick at her kneecap, hears the telltale crunch of bone, and watches as the woman folds, hitting the dirt hard. Lying supine, the twin whimpers, the red on her shirt turning dark scarlet. Jenna hears Haley gasping to say something, but she never gets the full word out. Chapter 84. Jenna darts through the trees back to the knoll. She's taken care of the twins, so that leaves Artemis. She doesn't have time to put all the pieces together as she hurries back, but she knows this much. Nico anonymously blackmailed Artemis, and the billionaire decided that the easiest way to figure out who was behind it was to kill everyone associated with that night. But he didn't count on Ben also being blackmailed and learning the truth. That Artemis had tricked them all into killing Mr. Brood. That he manipulated them to believe it was Brood abusing the girls, then selling them off to the likes of Sabine or other boogeymen. And even tonight, he manipulated them, making them think that Mr. Brood's son was responsible for the failed efforts to take them out one by one. Jenna reaches the knoll, and she sees no one. But there's a sound. Groaning, it seems. Where's it coming from? She listens carefully. It's definitely a groan. Then she realizes it's coming from one of the holes. She runs to the edge of the fresh grave and finds the tangled bodies of Nico and Artemis. Both appear to be bleeding. Jenna's heart jumps when an arm, Nico's, juts up and out. She's startled again when a figure appears next to her, extends an arm and tugs Nico out. Donnie. A moment later, all three kneel at the edge of the grave, pushing the dirt back in with their bare hands. Jenna can't help but think of that night 25 years ago. The rain coming down. Donnie speaking for them all. What have we done?
Chapter 85. Artemis. In the last moments of his life, Artemis has no regrets. His work will live on forever. Did he make mistakes? Every great inventor does. Did he betray friends? Again, show him an innovator who doesn't do whatever it takes to change the world. He stares up at the sky from the bottom of the hole. He's losing blood, losing consciousness. There's nothing that will save him. As he takes his last breath, dirt raining down on him, his mind retreats to the house where it all started. "I think you're making a mistake," Artemis says to Mr. Jones. They're in Park Jones's dining room, which is jammed with computer monitors and equipment. "Let me worry about that," he says, tapping on the keyboard. He's wearing a cardigan and plucking at his mustache. The other kids are right. With his sweater, glasses, and mustache, he looks like Ned Flanders. "They want you to call social services about Marta to report her missing. It's only a matter of time before they get someone to pay attention. If another one goes missing, someone's going to realize they're not all runaways." "You're a smart kid, Artemis, but just do what you're told. Tell her to come over tonight." "What am I supposed to say?" "I don't know. Tell her what you told the others." "Annie's sharp. She's not going to—" "Get it done tonight." Park stares at him over his glasses. "I think you are miscalculating." "No, I think you're miscalculating. I pick up that phone over there and make one call and the deal will be cratered. I'll tell my contacts your code is crap." "But that would be a lie. The code will change everything. How people communicate." Park Jones chuckles, shakes his head. "Created by someone who's hardly a poster boy for communicating. At least I don't hurt girls. You and Mr. Brood." "Watch yourself." "No, I think you'd better watch yourself. I know where the bodies are buried. Quite literally." "You should choose your next words carefully, Artemis Templeton. I spent a lot of time, money, and contacts helping you. But that can change." "It better not. I'm the one who stopped the other kids from asking too many questions, the one who scared them into thinking Mr. Brood is to blame. But if you keep doing this, the truth's gonna come out." "You'd better hope not. If it does, you're going down with me, kid." An hour later, there's a knock at the door. Artemis answers it. Annie is there, wearing the cheap necklace Nico brought her. She looks distraught. "Is Nico okay? Where is he?" "I think he'll be okay. Derek beat him up pretty good." "Oh my goodness. Where is he? Did you call anyone else?" "I think he'll be fine. He's in the room, in the back."
Epilogue. Nico. "Hi, Nico," the small crowd perched on metal folding chairs says in unison. He stands at the podium, offers a fleeting smile, and says, "It's been 8 months since I last gambled." The room fills with light clapping as he looks at the circle of faces. It's mostly men, but there are a few women attending the GA meeting. Some of the attendees are in business suits, others in work uniforms, others in shorts and flip-flops. Every color of skin is represented. The draw of the game, the thrill that your next hand will be the big one, doesn't care about race, religion, or socioeconomic status. This Los Angeles crowd doesn't look so different from those who come to GA meetings in West Virginia. Nico's in LA to talk to the network about his future. He's guessing it isn't so bright. 3 years ago, he flew over for the same meeting and they met at Nobu amid celebrities and a $1,000 tab for run-of-the-mill sushi. This time, the network set a late afternoon meeting at its offices in Century City, which isn't a great sign. Oh well. Nico looks out at the other gamblers, taking it a day at a time. He keeps his talk short. He usually tries to be upbeat. Everyone at these meetings has tales of hitting bottom. Few involve the depths of a coal mine, but many are even more bizarre, sadder. Nico can't tell them the whole story, of course. That will forever be buried on that knoll in Chestertown, Pennsylvania. After the GA meeting, he'll head over to the Hollywood Roosevelt, which is hosting a fan conference for a few of the network's reality shows. Comic-Con it isn't. He'll likely sign posters and participate on a panel about the show, but it'll make the network happy. Then comes the dreaded meeting with the suits. The Miners is still doing well in the ratings, though the after-show tanked when the audience revolted against Davis. He wonders if that douche will be in the meeting today. Whatever. By 2 o'clock, he's wrapping up at the fan event at the Roosevelt. The organizers have shuttled him down to the poolside bar to take photos. The DJ has the music on too loud, and Nico can't wait to get out of there. He's done a few of these fan events, and ever since what happened in the mine, he always secretly hopes his ex, Natalie, will show up. He hates how they left things, but he can never explain the truth. The world will never know it. Jenna's former employer sent a cleanup team. No one on Earth seems to have missed the ghoulish twins. There have been a few reports about Donnie's missing writer, but, again, no major stories. No big search. Most of the attention has been on the disappearance of the FBI agent and Artemis Templeton. The agent was investigating the O'Leary family, and many suspect that Special Agent Rodriguez is wearing concrete shoes at the bottom of the Delaware River. He didn't deserve what happened to him, but such is the curse of Savior House. The only serious media attention has been devoted to the disappearance of the eccentric tech mogul Artemis Templeton. But he's rumored to be alive and kicking on a secret pilgrimage to create the next big thing. Nico says his goodbyes, then makes his way to the lobby where he'll wait for the network's driver to shuttle him to Century City. There's a fountain bordering the stairs. Nico retrieves his silver dollar and examines it before climbing up. Then, for some unexplained reason, he flips the coin into the fountain. He finds a seat in the lobby, which has an old-time Hollywood feel, complete with photos of cinema icons in black and white outside the elevator banks. He gazes about the room, imagines Natalie walking over, sitting across from him. An older woman approaches. She holds her head low. She's not exactly the target demographic for the Miners, so he wonders if she's mistaking him for an actual celebrity. He smiles as she raises her head. And then he notices it. Around her neck, the chain with the medallion. an identical match to the St. Christopher he wears around his neck. She walks toward him, and he thinks she's going to reach out her hand, say, "I hope you can forgive me." But she passes without a word. And with everything he's done, the chain of events he set in motion that hurt so many, he knows one thing. It's what he deserves. But he's determined to be better. For Annie and the others.
Donnie. Donnie sits backstage at the 9:30 Club in Washington, D.C. He's staring at the set list he's written out. He released the songs on the internet 2 days ago. Well, he didn't. His new manager did. It's risky doing a set without playing even one of Tracer's Bullet's hits. The crowd might revolt. But if they want to hear Tracer's Bullet, watch Tom shake his aging ass on stage, they should go buy a cruise ticket. He examines the set list again. He named the song collection. There's no such thing as albums anymore. Save Your House. 8 new songs from Donnie Danger. Drowning. Brother from Another Mother. That's What She Said. Finding Mom. High in the Trees. Ghostwriter. Overboard. The Innocents. A knock comes on the dressing room door. In pops Pixie. He poached her from Tracer's Bullet. She was happy to be off the cruise ship circuit and away from Tom. Her eyes are alight with pre-show energy. I sneaked a peek at the crowd and, I don't want to know. If there's only 10 people out there or 1,000, I'm going to give it everything I got. Pixie doesn't say anything for a moment, but she looks worried. Before we go on, I wanted to thank you. Thank me? Hell, what for? For including me? These songs, they're... Pixie's eyes well up. Don't you go getting sentimental on me. She shakes it off. Okay. If I'm not being sentimental, maybe I should ask whether you need... that? Her eyes move to the bottle of Jack on the dressing room table. There's the little tyrant I know and love, Donnie jokes. There's a knock on the door. Their manager pops her head in. 5 minutes. Donnie stands up, bounces on his feet. He gives Pixie a sideways grin, then grabs the bottle, takes a swig. I don't need it, but like Popeye said, I am what I am. Pixie frowns, nods in resignation. I'll be out in a minute, Donnie says. Pixie throws her arms around Donnie, then, without a word, heads out to the area behind the stage entrance. Donnie stares at the set list again, at the last song, The Innocents. That's how he chooses to remember them. Nico sitting on the monkey bars barefoot, cracking "that's what she said" jokes. Jenna hiding her grief about her parents, protecting them from Derek Brood. Benny escaping into his books, being Donnie's brother from another mother. Even Artie, brutally bullied, manipulated by a man who claimed to understand his unconventional mind. Donnie looks at himself in the mirror, which is bordered by light bulbs like an old-time Hollywood dressing room. He doesn't need self-affirmations to pump himself up. He has the songs. Out loud he says, I'm not scared anymore, Benny. And in the reflection behind him appears a tall black man. Donnie whirls around. No one's there, of course. But in his head, he hears Ben's voice. The world looks brand new. Let's go exploring. Donnie gets his guitar from his tech on his way to the stage. The band's in a circle with their hands stacked at the center, like a football team before kickoff. Donnie doesn't join in. He struts onto the stage, where he's met with a roar louder than any other crowd he's ever heard. The room is electric, and for the first time Donnie can remember he feels comfortable in his own skin. He doesn't need to pretend to be rock star Donnie. It's who he really is. He heads to the mic and says, This one's for Annie. And the others.
Jenna. Girl, I can't even. If I looked like you from my prom, I would have dumped my date and called Timothy Chalamet to come pick me up. Blue Flowers, the Saks Fifth Avenue stylist, stands in the lounge area of the fitting room with her mouth agape. Willow's perched on the platform in front of the tri-folding mirror. It's the 4th prom dress she's tried on, and it's exquisite. She steps down, spins around, and looks to Jenna. What do you think? Jenna feels a surge of emotion. Things have been better between them. Willow's still traumatized by what happened. She's seeing someone for occasional panic attacks and anxiety. But the only good that came out of those awful twins entering Jenna's life is that it brought her closer to her stepdaughter. Jenna and Simon told Willow as much of the truth as they dared. It was more of a Netflix glamorized version, where Jenna was in the CIA, one of the good guys, and the people after her were dedicated to destroying truth, freedom, and the American way. She wasn't sure Willow believed it all. Willow's a smart girl, but she accepted the explanation without too many questions. I think you look beautiful. It's so much money, though. Not with my friends and family discount. Right, Blue? The stylist picks up on the ploy quickly. Half price for friends and family. Willow beams. Okay, I love it. Do you think Billy will? Jenna thinks of the shaggy-haired boy she first met behind the 7-Eleven. He's been a fixture at their house since, and despite how they met, the kid skipping school and drinking behind a convenience store, he's a sweet boy. He compliments Willow. He knows when to give her space, knows when to draw close. And most important, Willow's crazy about him. A little too crazy, so Jenna and Simon are constantly on guard, listening for when it gets too quiet while the kids are watching television alone in the basement. He's going to love it. He better, or I'm calling Timothy for you, Blue Flowers chimes in. Jenna pays the tab, while Willow's in the changing room. If the stylist notices that Jenna is using a different name than before, or that she'd previously claimed to be from out of town, the salesperson says nothing. Handing Jenna the credit card, she says, So, was the man you were excited to see at the party last time you were here Willow's father? Jenna smiles. Yes, she lies, deciding that it wouldn't be a great idea to say that the person she went to see at the party was a French woman who recruited her to work for a shadow organization when she was 15 years old. You did rock that gown. Jenna smiles. And your stepdaughter is gorge. A text causes Jenna's heart to jump a beat. It's from an unfamiliar number. It says, Your dry cleaning is ready. That's the corporation's code to contact home base. She considers clicking on the number that sent the text, but Willow appears from the dressing room beaming. On the car ride home, Jenna's mind is on the text. What could they possibly want? She'll get Willow home and find out. Can I ask you something? Willow says, pulling Jenna from the thought. Jenna looks at her stepdaughter. Willow's face reddens a shade. She hesitates, but continues. A lot of the couples are staying overnight at a hotel after prom. Jenna says nothing, lets her talk. Billy said he'll, wait as long as I need. Wait until I'm ready. Before we... Willow trails off. Jenna realizes that her stepdaughter's confiding in her about sex. Her chest swells, but she knows she can't show the emotion. She needs to play it cool. As he should, she says, trying not to sound judgmental. But it's prom, you know? It's romantic and... Again, she doesn't finish the sentence. Jenna smiles. I understand. You'll all be dressed up, taking limos downtown, getting photographed at the monuments at sunset. The last time you'll all be together. So, how do I know if I'm ready? Jenna blows out a breath. She never attended prom, never had a normal high school experience, a sweet teenage boyfriend. Her thoughts go to Sabine, forcing Jenna to take dance lessons, etiquette training, so that she could look like she belonged at any ball in the world. The text gnaws at her again. I think you need to trust your intuition. Don't do something because you think you should. Sometimes the most romantic things are the mundane, the unexpected. She thinks about falling for Simon on their second date when he took her bowling. You're smart, she adds. Smarter than I ever was at your age. And I think you'll know if it's time. Willow nods. There's a long pause. Can we get sushi for dinner? And with that, Jenna's first bit of parental advice comes to an end. She nods, determined not to cry. At home, they find Simon in the dining room. It's odd because he never goes in the dining room. He thinks it's too formal. Lulu's in the corner playing with her dolls. Also unusual. What are you doing in here? Jenna asks, smiling. Simon gives a tight smile in return. Oh, I just wanted a change of scenery. How was shopping? I found the perfect dress, Willow says. Simon smiles again. Something's wrong. He'd normally ask to see the dress, ask Willow to try it on, make a bigger deal out of it. Everything okay? Jenna asks. Before Simon answers, Willow says, Dad, we were thinking of ordering from Raku. Is that okay? Sure, he says. Something is definitely wrong. Jenna can see it in his face. You want the usual? Willow's already scrolling the DoorDash app. Yes, but also get me this new roll I've been hearing about. What's it called? Willow says, scrolling the menu. Simon's glance fixes on the door leading to the kitchen. I think it's called Alas Babylon. Adrenaline courses through Jenna. She looks at Lulu, who's still playing dolls on the floor, to Willow, still distracted ordering dinner on her phone. Simon isn't visibly restrained, so there's a reason he's not doing anything. He'd fight to the death for his family. Yet his hands are folded calmly on the table. He looks down and makes a mushroom cloud explosion gesture with his hands. Now Jenna understands. There's an explosive device. If he does anything, if she does anything, boom. He looks again to the kitchen. Jenna stealthily pads over and pushes the swinging doors in. She thought both twins were dead. But one stands here. She holds a device in her hand. It's not the cattle killer. It's a detonator. I'll come with you, Jenna says. Just don't hurt them. Oh, I'd love to kill each and every one of them in front of you. But that would be bad for business. She gestures to the back door. Jenna wants to go back to the dining room, say her goodbyes, get one last look at them. But she needs to get this woman as far away from her family as possible. Jenna makes her way outside, the woman following behind. It's then Jenna notices the limp. She flashes back to the woods, her foot connecting with the woman's knee, collapsing the joint in the wrong direction. Is this one Casey or Haley? She can't remember. It doesn't matter. One move, and I will blow this house sky high. Jenna raises her hands. I told you, you can do whatever you want to me. She means it. Her heart is breaking. She'll never see her family again, she knows. But at least she had this last, perfect day. The surviving twin leads her to Jenna's car in the garage. With one hand still gripping the detonator, she uses the other to give Jenna a pair of handcuffs. Jenna takes them and clicks them on. Her only goal now is to get this wretched woman away from here. She gestures for Jenna to take the driver's seat. Jenna has never felt so powerless in her life. She wonders how far the detonator can transmit. As if reading her thoughts, the woman says, It has a 10-mile radius. Don't worry, we're going less than 5. I told your husband that if he calls anyone or leaves the house, you're dead, and he and his girls will be in a million little pieces scattered across the neighborhood. He doesn't seem to get that you're already dead. Jenna doesn't say anything. She reverses out of the garage and follows the directions the woman gives her. Soon, they're only a couple miles away, in an industrial area of Rockville, Maryland. She passes a glass repair shop, a kitchen remodeling center, and a plumbing supply company. With the detonator still in hand, the twin motions to an open warehouse, and Jenna drives inside. Jenna considers bargaining with her, explaining she was only defending her family. But the woman's eyes are dead. Her twin is dead. She's been planning this for some time. This is revenge, but also something else. A clear message intended for the wet work market. Get out. They both climb out. The woman walks to the warehouse's double doors and pulls them shut. There's a rope draped over a support beam. At the end of the rope is a metal hook. The woman gestures for Jenna to clasp the hook to the chain of Jenna's handcuffs. Before Jenna does so, she contemplates charging the woman, swiping the detonator out of her hand, killing her. But she knows it will never work. Her mind jumps to an image of Simon making pancakes, Lulu on the bus waving goodbye, Willow in her prom dress asking her advice on the car ride home. She clasps the hook around the handcuff chain. The woman comes over and yanks on a rope, which tightens, and Jenna starts to rise from the floor, the cuffs digging into her wrists. The woman is having trouble raising Jenna with only one hand. She sets the detonator down and yanks the rope, and Jenna's feet now dangle 8 feet from the ground. The woman ties off the rope and then walks toward the corner of the warehouse. This is Jenna's chance. If she can get down, she can get the detonator, then take out this disgusting specimen of a human being. She twists her wrists, but the cuffs have clicked tight from her weight. The rope is thick and there's no way to cut it, and the beam is solid. She watches as the woman removes a tarp from something in the corner. It's a dolly with an industrial barrel on it. She gets behind the dolly and slowly, seeming to use great care, rolls the barrel over until its open mouth is under Jenna's feet. If Jenna could get lower, she could wrap her legs around the woman and snap her neck. But she's too high. The woman moves away from the barrel and back to the rope. Do you know there are 6 types of screams? Jenna doesn't respond. For my sister's sake, I wanted to hear you make every single one of them. This was the best I could come up with. That's when Jenna understands. Inside the barrel is liquid. Acid. She's going to lower her into it, slowly. A wave of panic smashes into her. She starts to buck and kick, flails for what seems like an eternity. She finally stops in exhaustion and looks at the woman, who has a smile on her face. She's getting off on the terror. It's then that Jenna decides she won't give her the pleasure. She gives up the fight and closes her eyes. As she feels the rope lowering, she says a prayer for Simon, for Willow, for Lulu, for her parents. She's had a better life than she deserved, given all she's done. She will not cry, and she sure as hell won't scream. The rope lowers slowly. It jerks to a stop. The woman is toying with her. Jenna keeps her eyes closed. She won't give her the satisfaction. But then she hears something. Movement. A familiar voice. A French accent tinged with Russian. Her eyes pop open and she sees Sabine. She's accompanied by a man who swiftly puts a black bag over the twins' head. The man turns and Jenna sees Michael give her what can only be described as a casual wave. He picks up the detonator and carefully places it in a metal box. Sabine looks up at her. Jenna isn't sure if this is real or if it's a hallucination, her mind protecting her from comprehending that she's being melted in a vat of acid. Just like when you were a teenager, ignoring my calls, Sabine says. Jenna remembers the text when she was at Saks. The corporation was trying to warn her. One of Michael's men, Jenna recognizes him from the night she breached her ex's estate, wheels away the barrel from under her and lowers Jenna to the floor, releases the cuffs. Sabine says, "You're lucky Michael didn't take kindly to these amateurs pretending they worked for us. Oh, he might not have been keeping an eye out when she went back in business." Jenna doesn't say anything. She's still processing. I thought I owed you this much, mon chéri. Now, let's get you home to your family. Jenna feels something release in her chest. Gratitude? Forgiveness? But says nothing. She needs to make it home in time for sushi with a sexy taxman, a blossoming teen, a charming 5-year-old, and a dog named Peanut Butter. To appreciate this life. For herself. For her parents. For Annie. And the others.